6:30. Let's call the meeting to order. We'll take a motion to approve the agenda. So move.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
I'd like to add two things.
I am leery of adding anything to this.
Let's see where they are.
Yeah, I will listen, absolutely entertain it, but we've got a full and very optimistic schedule as it is.
Well, I'm not interested in a long discussion. I just wanna
Oh, okay.
make a couple of points.
All right. What are the two things you
I
want?
wanna talk about the police and the sidewalk renovation.
Okay. Those. I'm skeptical those are,
I just have
Sure.
a couple of questions.
okay. So I guess we'll,
Is that a motion to amend?
I'll move to amend the agenda and add police and sidewalk renovation.
we'll put that in with other business.
Motion needs a second.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of adding those two items to the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. So. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
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 Patrick Jodo's got a hand up.
Oh, yes, Joe.
Yeah, I was asked if I could do an interview of Victoria for the Herald, and I sent Victoria an outline of what I would like to include, and she felt that it was appropriate to ask you folks if you would approve that she speak about it. Have you looked at that?
I have. Someone else has?
Yes,
I did.
I have.
Okay,
Would one of you be happy to make an motion that we approve that request? That you approve that request?
I make a motion to approve that request that Victoria talked to Jojo for the Herald report.
I'll second the motion.
any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving that interview, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Pat,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anyone here for public comment? No. Awesome. Next, Kit. I think you.
Can you hear me? Sorry. I think I'm just here to, sorry, I'm in a car with my dog. But you had approved replacing 2 trees that were taken down on the property, and the work, it seems to be done. I don't know if you guys have checked it out. And they've, I think, did a overall a really good job. I haven't found kind of like the exact trees. They don't have tamaracks or larches in stock now, and apples vary, but they're roughly between $150 and $200 for a smaller one. I mean, I checked at Brown's and the Gardener's Supply, but it depends kind of. I mean, I'm sort of looking for a smaller apple tree to replace the one that you got, and some sort of pine tree. And I'm not sure what the best. Do you guys want me to? Do you want to decide on an amount, and then just do I get them and then have to tell you the amount so you reimburse me, or what is the best way to do it?
That's a fair question.
2 new board members would like to know what's up.
So when we're doing work on the abutment.
So for
Bridge abutment.
the Broadbrook Bridge abutment, Kit provided access across her property for an access road to come down, and that involved taking down 2 trees. Kit gave permission to the town to remove the trees, but was looking for some funds to be able to replace those trees
Okay.
And
that she
we
left.
did agree to replace.
Yeah, that's
them.
fine. I
Yeah.
just, I had no idea what was up.
No, that's fine.
We agreed to replace them with saplings rather than
Listen,
Yeah.
sized trees.
Right, yeah. So that sounds what she was talking about. To be perfectly honest, I do not remember if we talked about numbers.
I don't remember yeah.
We
but-
did, but we decided that you can't really tell what the price is gonna be
Right.
last fall, and
We were gonna wait
I
until
think-
it,
yeah.
it was ready and she
Okay,
came
the
back.
proper thing to do is discover the cost and then come back with the price.
How about not to exceed a certain number?
Yeah. So
But I don't know
you're,
what that would be.
what you're finding is between like $150 and $200, is that what you're?
Roughly, yeah, for like a young apple tree, and I'll wait when the larches come in, but that, some sort of pine tree to replace that one. I would try to get the smallest, I don't want like a 4-inch pot. I want something that's, a little bigger than a foot tall, but obviously a younger one than that they were very mature trees that were taken down. I think the tamarack was 30 years old. It was a very mature tree.
I'll make a motion to replace the trees and reimburse her when she does it.
Not to exceed a certain number?
I'm sure she sounds like she'll do a good job.
I don't mind if you want to put a cap on it, that's fine too. Whatever you think.
I personally trust you to get what you want. The town took the trees down when they were. I think
You want 2 trees, 150 each? Is that what you said right now? What it is?
Two.
They're roughly, the prices I've been getting have been between 150 and 200 for the ones that I was looking for. Yeah, each, right.
Need to make a motion that,
We have. a
we have to
motion.
do that, yeah.
Yeah,
I would like to amend the motion that Bob made,
well,
Bob's
you
motion didn't have a second.
didn't have a second. So
so I could make my own motion.
I guess you could.
I guess I could. I would like to make a motion that Kit find 2 suitable replacements not to exceed $500.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. That's fine. And that's I'm sure more than I need.
Yeah.
I had a quick question too, and maybe you can answer this.
Second, before we lose train of thought, we have to actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
Okay.
worries. Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in,
I just wanna, are you gonna plant them, Kit, or is that?
Yes,
something-
we'll plant them.
Okay,
all those in favor of, Kit replacing her 2 trees at a number not to exceed $500, that will be reimbursed by the town, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, what was your other question, Kit?
Thank you.
No,
Well-
we've done this before and then lost track and never gone.
Thank you. I
Never
appreciate it.
voted. Yeah.
So Daniel's, and maybe Victoria's seen it or you guys have seen it, they brought, they took down a lot of trees on the embankment on our side of the brook and then the opposite side of the brook. And then they put down kind of the netting, the grass netting, and there's some stones near the brook, but do you think I feel like we need more plants there to stabilize the embankment because I'm just worried there's not a lot there. Is that something that I should talk to Daniels about putting in as part of their work?
Okay, I'll come take a look. When I was up at the job site a week and a half ago now, and talked to them on site, they had indicated that they were gonna move some of that big stone around to protect the embankments. I'm not sure that they're quite done up there, but I'll come take a peek, and if there's anything that looks concerning, then yeah, because we're required as part of our stream alteration permit to restore those buffer zones.
Okay,
So-
'cause-
We'll
Even
take a
pay
look.
it, right?
Yes, yep.
They're gonna put
Yeah.
some,
We should be seeding it, yeah.
Is Daniels hired as a contractor to do that bridge? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who did it.
thank you guys very much. That was my last question.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kit.
So I'll be in touch, but yeah, the bridge looks great. It's nice to finally have it be, we can cross it now after a year, which is great. So
Okay,
thank you. Have a nice rest of your evening.
alrighty.
Yeah.
Moon and Stars, is anybody here for that? Oh. Hi, Francie, I didn't,
Not again,
you did? Well, I saw you come in, I just didn't.
but no, I was wearing that.
The Moon and Stars hat.
Stars hat.
Oh, that would be a cool hat, Moon
Yeah.
and Stars hat.
Nando is in Rhode Island catering an event. down
Okay.
there, so he asked me to come on his behalf. And just present the summer series of events that, we're doing again this summer, similar to last summer. This year is the last Friday of the month. Previous was the first Friday of the month, but we kind of swapped things around.
Mhm.
4 to 8 PM, and we're looking for a street closure. On Park Street, because there will be roller skating. There'll be live music or DJ music or a combination of the two, I'm not quite sure, and food from the Arepa cart. And it's free and open to the public. And we hope you'll all come,
What time again did you say?
4 to 8 PM.
4 to 8, thank you.
And there's also an additional date, Saturday, September 13th. Is the Arepa Festival. That's another annual event that Moon and Stars has done for the past few years. And I think he's looking for the same street closure for
Saturday, what?
that, September 13th.
So when will those Fridays start and end?
So the first is May through September.
May, like the first, or I'm sorry,
Last
so
Friday,
that's
May
like Memorial
30th.
Day weekend, that
The-
one,
The weekend after.
the weekend, oh,
Yeah.
because it comes early
It's
this
early
year.
this year, so it's May 30th, June 27th, July 25th, August 29th, and September 26th.
So you do September too.
Mhm.
I would like to chime in if possible.
Sure.
I would ask the select board nicely if we could not close Park Street. I think cutting off the houses on Park Street's not a great idea. It's, I just want to offer an alternative opinion. I think it's a good event. I think it's a great event. I think Nando's a good, hardworking guy. It's very disruptive to have your street closed for 4 hours with a lot of music. And so I would like to ask the select board to deny the request.
You're asking to deny the street closure or the
Yeah.
whole event?
Well, I think it could be done in the school parking lot. I think it could be done in other places. We've talked about this before. It seems as though it's a wonderful idea. I just think shutting down the street isn't very neighborly. How's that?
How was the noise level last year? And quitting time, did they adhere to that?
The quitting time seems to be spot on. And having it earlier is definitely better. There seems to be less alcohol consumption and dogs and this disruption. Like the skating's fine and the music's okay. But it is, pounding music into the side of your house for 4 hours isn't ideal. Like I said, it's just not very neighborly. I think it could be done and it could be done in a less obtrusive location, including the town parking lot, perhaps, or the school. But right on downtown is not very pleasant for the neighbors.
So now we have discussed this before. Have you considered a non-street alternative or, and I know this is not the first time
Yeah.
we've had this discussion. but-
Yeah, I know it's come up before and I understand completely that perspective. We have come back requesting the location where it is because it is a community open event and we feel that that location really is conducive to people being in the village, coming in, seeing what's happening, coming over, seeing, saying, you know, it's the center of town, and so it does feel like that is the location that really meets the goals of the event, which is a community engagement event, and it is, you know, an educational event to introduce people to regenerative agriculture and these heirloom varieties of corn and these traditional corn making techniques. And also just, yeah, come out and have fun on a summer evening with your neighbors, put on some roller skates. He's gotten hundreds of pairs of roller skates donated from several different organizations. And it's
I
run
think,
by,
I think we asked last year if we could consider changing the street to Railroad Street in front of the bank. Did that?
That was not,
Not for that.
No, it
no,
was for that. We
it was
talked
for
about
that,
it,
but
and
there,
that's why.
but
When we
it-
had that discussion, it revolved around the fire
The fire
department being
department.
able to get in and out, and also just the ability of being able to safely close Railroad Street from traffic, because then you end up bottlenecking people on Chelsea Street.
Yeah.
If there's no way to come across, whereas Park Street, if you can't get through, you just go down to Stratford.
Okay.
And over to
Yeah.
Chelsea.
So unless somebody else has another alternative, I don't see that there's a compromise.
Well, could we try to find a compromise? I mean, maybe not at a meeting, maybe I mean, seems like it's something that I asked Nando to go talk to Tim. You know, and I don't know, it doesn't sound like he did talk to Tim. Did
No,
he?
no. It,
Is
it,
it,
yeah.
Tim,
yeah,
is this something that, this is Larry.
Yeah.
Is this something that particular night that you and your wife could go out to supper and visit your neighbors or something and not be there when that all happens? Is that a possibility?
oh, yeah, Larry, it's all a possibility. You know, it goes back to, there's a bit of history here where my house has been vandalized on multiple occasions by folks associated with this. And it's frustrating when it gets presented as like a neighborly thing to do as it was last year. I think it's a good event. I really do. I think that you might hear from other neighbors before the May date that's proposed. I can't say for sure, but you might. I've seen a lot of drinking, no like helmets. You know, it has gotten better though. It has gotten, the first couple times was a total nightmare.
yeah, because I do remember that, and I do remember we specifically asked, Loretta to check in on one of the later ones, and, it was much better. She didn't seem to think that there was drinking or other things going on, and
yeah, there's no alcohol served.
Yeah, that they bring their own.
Drinking their own alcohol. I don't know what the rules for the town are about drinking in public, but that's
Yeah,
not
that's
something
Not
that
allowed.
the
Yeah.
event is
It's not-
supplying or
not allowed.
promoting or supporting. It's really, you know, I only went last year, so I can only speak to how it was last year, and it was, I brought my kids, we all skated. It was very low key and tame. I didn't see anyone drinking. But I wasn't everywhere looking at everybody, so.
Right.
And it is five nights, not one night.
Right. I keep saying, it has gotten better. The earlier it goes, it seems to be much better. So I would even consider if you could move it up a little bit, just give some sort of compromise that this is negatively affects people as well. I understand it's a good event. I just want consideration from the select board, not asking for.
and we're trying.
Francie, would afternoon event work for them?
I don't think it would work on a Friday. Because. It's a work day, it's,
Yeah.
So I think 4 to 8 on a Friday and really. The weekend, we just had a board meeting and we're discussing, so weekends are quite busy for when it starts doing other events. Throughout the region and beyond. So Saturday, we were looking at like, maybe we should do it Saturday this year, and it was like, oh, every Saturday is pretty much booked already. So
Right.
Friday was the,
Would something like 4 to 7, Tim, be
Yeah,
like?
that would be great.
would
That would be
that
good. See, here's what it is like, I and Nendo and whoever's been around has been good about it. We come and go regardless. Like there's uh cones up or something like that. Last year, I think you asked him to have a person at each end of the street so that
Yeah,
We did.
if we're here, that gets abandoned about an hour in. If we could be a little tighter, a little earlier, a lot less people just seem to bring their dogs and let them run wild. If there's a little bit more oversight, and this seems like a special event, so maybe they pay for some additional police enforcement.
Jim, there was a mention last year about one of your neighbors, about the house next to yours.
Yes.
Is that rented or is there someone living there now?
There is somebody living there, but I don't have a lot of contact with them. We keep opposite hours, and it's Damon Fulcher. And then there's 2 at the next house. There's at least a couple more at the next house. And they have also, I'm not going to speak for them, but I know that they wanted access in and out, and they're not particularly fond of these events.
That driveway was on Chelsea Street.
But honestly, they should be here if it was important to them.
Yep.
Right. So I get that too.
What about a 3:30 to 7:30? Push it ahead a half an hour.
Yeah. I mean, then it ends in the daylight, right? Larry, even like in September, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be
I
great.
think that's
I would
great.
appreciate any consideration.
I think that's great that you're willing to like compromise, because I understand that it's. It's your home and it's not ideal for you, but I do like how, these folks are trying to do a cool thing for the community, and I have been there with my kids. It was really fun one night. I didn't dare skate, but but it was cool, and I think it is cool to have it in town on the green. So, I mean, I think I do wish Nando would make more of an effort to, go up to you and say, hey, how do you feel about this? And then you guys could have hashed this out, the 2 of you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
He might be a
Or-
little.
Or his board, like I haven't gone anywhere. So in like 9 years.
I think that is, I said it last year, I think he should do that, but I do want to support this, so if you're willing to, still.
Give us some,
Yeah.
Well, the 3:30 to 7:30, if that would be agreeable, I think that would make sense, but that's my feeling.
Push it.
Yep. I agree with you, Larry. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate all of you listening.
I would really like, and we can figure out the mechanics of this, but I would really like a commitment and a way to track that someone is on those cones in a vest, like we talked about
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And honestly, the dogs and Nando's really busy on these events. He's working hard, and he doesn't have time to police. I had to deal with a really, really drunk guy, and it was not fun. And instead of being confrontational, I just thought to let it go and bring it to you all. There was no way he was going to pull his dogs off of just running wild, and it was a good event that had ugly pieces. How about we clean up the ugliness?
This this sounds like a perfect opportunity for, our constable. Who will be hopefully fully recovered from his back surgery by then, to, spend some time there. We can ask Todd to put in some time.
That's a good idea.
And help police this event.
Sure, and I can also talk to Nando about saying no dogs. And just making it like,
Well, I mean,
No dogs should not be there anyway,
right,
right?
I mean, the green.
Well,
is the
having
no
dog-
Zone and.
right, the green is a no dog zone, and you
So-
certainly shouldn't be off leash, so,
Right.
you know, if someone,
Just like service animals only. And
Boy,
I
that
think
would-
that's
I think that would be awesome.
pretty,
Yeah.
a pretty.
Yeah.
Normal thing to have, like an outdoor event where there's lots of kids running, I don't know. I
Possibly with
I
your,
feel like that's a reasonable thing too.
but possibly with your advertising around, you could put that in your advertisement
Right, put it
that,
around the flyer.
yes, no dogs only except for service dogs.
Right.
All right, so we'll leave,
Thank you all.
you bet.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep, Tim.
So I think I'm willing to, take this motion, make this motion, and I would say,
Wait, before you make that motion.
yeah.
And maybe encourage your board to like do a little empanada basket for the neighbors.
Yeah.
Just like a
Yeah,
little
I did,
gesture
I
of
did
like,
encourage
you know.
him, and he is very intimidated.
I think he
I think he tried to have a conversation with
Maybe,
Tim's
maybe
wife, and
there's,
it didn't
maybe
go
there's
well,
a
and-
select board member who'd like to sort of go along and mediate.
No, I'm happy to do it. He said a board member and I'm happy to
Okay,
walk across.
well, I
the
meant
street and say-
one of our board members too, good, but,
I've been meaning to say hi to Tim,
okay,
but not about this.
all right. So, I'll move that we approve these 5 Fridays. And is the Arepa Festival, is that the same thing?
It's a
Or
Saturday.
is that,
it's
or is that
your
on the
kids'
green,
anytime
is it
thing.
on the
It's
green thing?
Yeah,
Can
I'll get more
you
details on
come
that.
back and
Yeah.
we'll deal with that separately?
Yeah, cause he didn't give me any
Okay.
time or parameters on that.
So I say, I move that we approve these 5 Fridays from 3:30 to 7:30 with the stipulations that it is advertised, and intended to be, a dog-free event, alcohol-free event. And we will ask the constable to make an appearance, spend some time there to help, police and make sure that the cones are being manned.
And
And
flatten
order is- and order
the
is back.
cones, the cone people, there's a couple people in
Yeah.
charge, right?
Yeah, so there's my long motion. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye,
I,
motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Pleasant Street sewer connection.
I was wondering. Did you guys get a chance to do a little field trip?
Oh, nope.
I live there, so.
Yeah, okay.
I've been to look at it.
Yeah.
Did you look at the culvert? and-
oh, sure.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we also heard
Yeah.
about the culvert, right? Yeah. So we did get feedback on the culvert.
Yeah,
Or did we not?
we all thought that the culvert, that the town should replace.
The general consensus is that the culvert that is currently installed is a 12-inch and should be replaced with an 18-inch culvert. I believe when I talked with Demi about it, he mentioned that the town would do across the road and then under the Anderson's driveway. But beyond that would be the Anderson's responsibility.
Anderson's responsibility.
Did he say 18 or 24? I thought we talked
18.
about
It's a-
24.
I think it's a 12 right now.
Yeah,
And so he thought an 18.
18,
At least an 18, right?
yeah.
I think it should be a 24 hour.
Well, that's what I thought we talked about, but
What do you think? You're an
I have
engineer.
not done the hydraulics on that, however. I would support, I would generally, my
Figured that out.
24, just based on how much, seasonal flow is already there, and then if you had an event on top of a seasonal flow, I would probably go to 24. For the dollars and cents, it doesn't make sense to
Undersized.
undersize there.
Yeah.
If you get it too small now, and then you gotta do it again.
Oh, good, Peter's here too, so we never followed up with Peter about that, so about how to handle it from Peter's side.
Right, so the question is that, the extension, has to happen, which we can go back and talk about the harder topic first. Yeah, just trying to warm us up with the.
Yeah, no, let's stick with the easy one first.
Even though it was the other way on the agenda, but, that we just talked through the culvert, and then like, does the town wanna pay for any part of it? I did get 3, qualified bids, kind of like, or not, I don't know if they're qualified, they're, sent the plans to 3 contractors, and if you wanna use the contractors while they're there, or do you guys wanna bid it separate, or how do you wanna do it?
I don't understand why the town doesn't put the culvert in.
I think
What's the
that,
problem with that?
Yeah.
so Jacob,
mean
It's on private property.
Yeah.
It's on private property.
No,
well, once it gets out of the right of way, but in the right of way, at least where
Sure,
we're
it's
putting
down
the sewer extension.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why
that part.
wouldn't we do that?
Yeah, we talked about like being responsible for that part. It's just we need to figure out the Peter end of things too, because if we're just dumping it right off his driveway.
Right, we don't want it to be necessarily undersized at that outlet, and then the other part is where the actual outlet is, it's pretty well. Built up with debris, not that it's a huge effort, but that ditch should probably get cleaned out as well.
Yes, I agree.
What do you agree with, Peter?
That ditch should be cleaned out in the town's effort to get that water off the hill and into the White River. And I think that the idea of, as you said, of the town taking through the driveway, and then we'll see what the options are once we hear how expensive that's going to be or what it entails. I haven't heard anything about the septic plan and how that interfaces with this project, so I'd be eager to hear about the positive aspects of the sewer attachment.
I would suggest that we get Jacob to give us a linear foot price for the culvert replacement. And then, Jacob Mayer is the low bid. I can tell you what the bids were for the project if you guys
No, sure.
want, but get him to give us a linear foot price on the culvert, and then figure out whatever the cost sharing number needs to be with a cleaning out of at least the first, 15-20 feet of the ditch, so that it can properly flow away there.
The town's gonna put the culvert in, what's the problem?
The town wants to do it themselves?
Well, I think we should.
The road crew, you're saying the
Yeah,
road.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our road.
Have the road crew do it
Have the road
ahead of
crew
the
do it.
project, or as Jacob's?
Well, we gotta,
In
So the
conjunction
culvert-
with.
we gotta work together.
I mean, yeah, the culvert's gotta go under,
Over.
over.
Over, that's the trick.
That's the trick. Okay. I knew it was a trick.
So-
Couldn't
But I
remember.
mean,
It
we
was
can
an over
always
trick
keep
or
it as
under trick.
one lane, so Jacob gets the sewer line in past that,
Uh-huh.
and then you guys.
But I mean,
have-
isn't. Because you're having, yeah,
so realistically, you're going to allow them to close at least half of the street
right.
to put in the sewer line, which means that when the contractor comes in to do the sewer line, they can cut off the top of that culvert. Cut off that half of the culvert, dig what they need to, put the sewer extension in, then you can mobilize the road crew.
Have them
to
lay the culvert in,
Install the
right?
culvert across both the road and I
Yeah.
guess the end of the Andersons driveway. And then the Andersons also have noticed that they need to plan for their responsibility of the culvert that runs across their property.
Okay,
Would be the order of
The
operations.
sequencing,
Yes.
Peter, I grew up here. It seems to me there used to be a ditch that went down through there.
Yes, there may be. I gather that Rachel White put that in.
Bought the property, was there already a pipe in there?
It's covered.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. When I was younger, I remember that culvert used to open pretty much
With an
right,
open-
Well,
right,
after-
right after that did, right after the pavement.
After Rachel died, her son took over the place and he didn't like the open ditch, so he's the one that put in the culvert down through there. Demi told me that.
Yeah,
And he just wanted to be able to mow the whole thing, and so he put it in because he had construction equipment and that's the kind of work they did, so it didn't take him too long to do that. But now it may be cost effectively to take that culvert out and open the ditch up again.
Well, I wonder how big is that pipe that goes down through there?
It's probably
Well-
the same, the rest of it, 12 inches.
And it's 3/4 full.
And it's
Yeah,
so long, it's so long that it's.
200 feet.
yeah, it makes it a really tough maintenance situation.
What's your thought, Peter? Have you thought about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, what we've just outlined so far sounds good. We got to figure out how to do it. I think that it a larger culvert would be more than adequate for that. It has flooded during the past, those 2 summers in a row that came in July. But I think that, we get an estimate. I still haven't heard what the likelihood is of moving ahead with the septic. Because that's, of course, the key to the whole coordinating all things that happen. So is that all?
Yes.
Yes, that's the second part of this conversation. That's already,
That's why we're doing this culvert at the same time. That's what they brought back to say, do the culvert. Because if they're gonna dig up the road anyway,
Right.
we might as well take care of that problem.
Absolutely, I agree, and that should work out fine. I think, that the town taking the water across the road and under the driveway and get a 45 in there leading to the next 45, that's great. The town, that's what has to happen to get that water towards the White River.
But Peter, we're talking about the town only going across the road,
Yeah, and
not all the way down to
Oh, no.
that where it dumps out.
under the driveway, as you said, to get,
Right. I just wanted to make sure that you.
Yeah.
that-
no,
That's,
I'm not assuming any more than that. I'm just eager
and
to
Ina. She's, yeah, if that's all right with you guys, that's what it would be.
Yeah, well, that sounds right. I'd like to see on paper what the project looks like, and when you get that, that'd be great.
how do you maintain 200 feet of culvert?
You don't, that's why it's 3/4 full.
Yeah.
It's got 2 angles in it, you can't get a sewer cleaner down there.
So Peter, I hate to, just be the one to say, but I think the thing of it is that have Jacob give you a price to remove the culvert from the end of your driveway down to the ditch, is the way that, if I was steering this project, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I think we got to start by saying that maybe the 24-inch culvert is the best, but we don't know exactly how far it's going to go once the town has taken care of its responsibility to get the water across the road and headed in the right direction.
You guys wanna set a footage like 5 feet?
Well, if you get
Five feet
it,
from
my
the pavement.
feeling about it, if you're gonna disturb it at all, if we get it across the road and get it across his paved area and then into what would be his lawn, and then from there on, he would be responsible to get it down. Cause the town right away is 3 rods, which is about 25 feet from the center line, and that'll get you through his driveway.
Right,
So to the end of to the width of the right of way.
Well, yeah, I mean, including to the end of this pavement, you don't wanna drop it off before the pavement stops, but we certainly should do that. Get it to the end of his pavement, even if it's 5 feet beyond it or 4 feet or something. So he's got something to work with, to have an open ditch the rest of the way.
That sounds sensible to me.
That sounds sensible to everybody else.
Yep.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll wait to see kind of on paper what the size of culvert and all that stuff. And I'm happy to have, if someone wants to come another site visit, whatever works for you folks would be fine with me.
Yeah, I'll come over there too again and Jacob. This guy that they already have, he's already gonna have the equipment right there, so, I mean. And he does good work, so. Maybe we can talk to him to come over too or something at some point, or I can get you his number.
And I just a sort of detailed question. We can talk about it further, but I'm I'm assuming that the repaving of the driveway is part of the deal because we have to tear the whole thing up. And I had Pike come by and they at least had mapped it out for me and such, but I don't know. That'll depend upon what your contractor is, this Jacobs person.
Careful with the wording there. I think patch paving over the trench. Not necessarily a whole driveway.
No,
Repaving.
patch paving was kind of what I was
Patch
leaning
paving.
toward.
Okay.
Not a-
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Patch paving is what I was leaning towards.
Yeah, that sounds like a start. That's fine.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to work with 3 different entities, the town, Color, Peter, Anderson. So maybe. That needs to be coordinated, and we should. Victoria.
neither did I, Siri. It's really-
Sorry, I missed that.
I get lost.
I think that's something we could talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll get through the other.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about there. I don't want to interrupt you, but
No,
we know
Yeah.
what we're doing, kinda.
Okay. So does that answer the
So,
culvert replacement
That
question?
answers culvert replacement.
Excellent.
So the other part was the project cost. The ask was, it's that, Mr. Tuller reserved about 50,000 to do the project and the bids have come in. Our lowest bid with Jacob is 60.
Almost 66.
Sorry, I was gonna, 60, I just had it. $65,622. And if the town could, this is something that's gonna serve other residents, it's something the town is gonna take over the ownership on. If the town could see an opportunity to do some cost sharing with this.
that we were helping by doing the culvert.
We were only ever gonna go under the culvert and not.
Well, that would have been a real, that would have been a extra cost for sure, if we just left that culvert.
Not really,
You can, I mean, it seems like
no.
You got,
somebody would be digging, you can't like dig out right next to a culvert and not,
Dig from one side and you dig from the other.
sounds like extra.
hand shovel. Like, remember what they were?
Hand shovel, nice, that sounds like money right there.
So let me ask you a question. At 210 feet is what we're doing? Is that what's going into the, on the
did
ground?
210, it was.
within an inch or two,
it's
something, 200 feet, something like that?
210, I think.
Okay. And this is just for Mr. Tuller, is that correct? I mean, he's the only one gonna be hitching onto that, or is it availability for others to hitch onto it?
Well, you guys would end up owning it, so you could then grant. Anybody else.
So it would
connect to
make it so others could do that. So I'm kind of leaning towards giving a hand on there, because if this will help others as their,
But can they hook on to
It
that?
won't help anybody else, that's,
it's-
his house is the end of the line.
But it,
but isn't there some other houses down through there?
not only Peter Anderson's, Mary Rogers is, the other
That's
house.
already, that's,
No,
That's
and the
the-
Jacobs apartment building, those guys are all have onsite.
yeah, Jacobs has a septic.
Yeah, but
Jacobs
if
apartment
something
building.
fails, then they've got a backup.
He still owns the land.
But he wouldn't. So that's the thing, is because the town would take over ownership.
You take it over, I don't own it anymore, so I got no say.
Right.
There wouldn't be, that's what some of the emails I had with you guys, because there were certain things like at first that we were talking about, like how that John would effectively have to own the septic separately, but then it's like, we'd have to have an MOU with the town. And then you can bet your bottom that we're gonna require an impact fee from any of the neighbors to connect onto it if John's truly gonna own that 210 feet.
He's
And
not
then-
gonna own it,
and then-
town's gonna own it.
The
No,
ordinance
well,
says
he should, but there were some emails at first that John would continue owning the sewer line in the public right
Who
away.
sent you the email?
There were emails between the town and
Who sent
Simons.
those? Who sent
I would
those?
have to, whether it was straight.
I wanna see it.
we found the ordinance that said that he installs the sewer and then it becomes the town's property. So that resolved that whole
Okay,
issue.
but anyways, Bob, that was a conversation point at first.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm sure it was.
Oh, it was. But anyways, so yeah, the town would end up owning it the second that it's built, and then it is the opportunity for anyone to connect onto it.
Mhm.
And or other users on South Street to then benefit, because now the sewer is 210 feet closer, they only have to do one more manhole. And anybody on South Street could pump up to that system.
Well, pumping up is easier said than done.
Well, the people that just built the $55,000 box could have put a pump station in and connected. Well, for close to that, if the sewer was that much closer.
The sewer hadn't been paid attention to by the town for a long time. And back when I was on the board in, I think in the 80s. It went up as far as Gladys's.
Right.
It was only supposed to go to the underpass, but it went up to Gladys's.
Yeah.
But there's not enough users. There needs to be more users on the sewer to lower the cost for everybody. My mom, between water and sewer, pays $3,000 a year, or pretty close to it. And I think to ask anybody in the town to pay between $3,000 a year on top of their mortgage and taking care of their kids and everything else is tough. So the town has never, I guess you put a lagoon in since I've been here. But I'm frustrated with the point that it's costing so much for water and sewer for people in the village. And we're not doing anything about it. And I think it's our responsibility to do something. And this truly means hooking more people on, because that's the only way it's gonna defray the cost to those people that are on there.
Our legislature is having a lot of discussions about how we need to add 7,000 homes a year right now to the state, and a lot of that is focused on villages, how Act 250 is supposed to be, relaxed and village, whatever centers, and
I've asked.
that's what needs to happen, is wherever we have this public infrastructure, we need to.
I've asked
really
the state
force
of
them to
Vermont if
handle
there's
stuff
any
there.
money, because they've been talking about expanding and more housing. So I've asked the state of Vermont people up there if there's any money for us to expand our sewer system. And I haven't got any answers.
I feel like this topic, I think there's a lot of feelings here about this topic, or for me. I'm wondering if the rec committee was supposed to be at 7. I just feel like I don't wanna debate this amount. We got the culvert thing checked off, right? And now, folks are coming in to ask for help for a cost, for this project. And I think that we as a board should discuss that, but I don't know if right now we should. I don't know, am I the only one? I'm just putting that out there. I don't know if it's the best use of our time right now.
Well, I think we've got to get this project, this project has to.
They
move
should,
forward.
it absolutely
Yeah.
does, and they can do it, and if we come up with the money, good for them. They're gonna have to do it no matter what.
They're
and-
asking us if we're gonna pitch in.
Yeah, and are we going to? I mean,
Well, that's-
should we take a vote?
That-
Can I offer the financial
Yeah.
aspect? So the wastewater system is an enterprise, which means that it is fully supported by the user fees. If you assume that the select board is going to put in $16,000 toward the sewer extension, and that the average sewer bill for a unit that has 2 units comes in around $1,200 a year, you're looking at a minimum of 13 years, assuming no other connections to that line, before the users of the sewer system will make back the $16,000 that they spent on the extension. Those numbers change if there are additional connections that provide additional use. But that's because if you add other users, then they'll be using the system and they'll also pay a rate. But if it is truly that this extension only ends up serving that residence, then you're looking at around 12 years before the system breaks even for the expense that you're considering contributing.
Just for town users.
Solely for the users of the sewer system, who are the ones that pay for the system in full. They pay the debt service for the upgrade to the treatment plant that was done in 2017. And they pay the fees for the operation of the system. That's how it's fully supported by the users of the sewer system.
Same with water.
Me, and I'm on that system, and I paid for my own connection. I understand. It's not as far as yours. But I've been living next to that house for a long time, and we should have I wouldn't have been on the board when it should have been dealt with, 15 years ago? I mean, I just don't think it's fair, and I'm sorry, but that has been negate. Your duty as a steward of that property has been not, you have not taken care of that property, and it's not been good for your neighbors. And I guess I'm taking it personally, and I can step back now. I don't mean to be rude about it. I guess I'm just like too passionate about it. All right. So I'll stop now, but I do wanna, maybe we should vote.
Well, I will add, it's not Mr. Teller's primary residence.
The biggest thing bothers me is I go and do all the costs, and then the apartment building across the road comes to you and says, I wanna hook on. And then I put on all that money and they're getting a free ride.
So to answer your connection, because the main was right in front of
Yeah.
your house.
I lucked out. Yeah.
So and then that's the scenario.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not apples to apples.
I get it. That is not fair. And is there any way we could say, how could we make it so that if somebody connects onto it,
I don't think we can.
he can get $20,000? I don't know.
I mean,
What have we done?
there are memorandums of understanding that for an X number of years, that there would be an impact fee.
If he still owns the property. But guess what? That's not us, he's gonna own a property with a septic that's hooked to the municipality, so you're gonna be able to sell that property for.
There's no question about that. I realize that. But I'm retired and there's only so much money, so. That's why it hasn't been.
Well, you'll make
That's
it
why
back.
it hasn't been done before, huh?
Well, since it's a rental, is it eligible for like, the loan fund, the revolving loan fund, or I don't know how that works.
He'd still have to pay it back.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it cut down the hurt for the time. I mean, even if you have to pay it back.
I would like someone to weigh in on that, because I don't know if.
You'd probably spend the amount that we're asking from you guys just to do all the paperwork and the financial studies and it, because the way that it works, to get either the CRF or the USDA money, you have to do like a community, averaging of like the.
He's talking about the
He's talking
town.
about the
Town.
towns,
Sorry.
the town's revolving loan.
Yeah,
fund.
that's a good idea.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about like the CRF revolving loans.
That would certainly take care of the immediate crunch. And spread it over a 5-year or 10-year period at minimum. It used to be prime plus one, that's what we used to get before when I was
That
on,
is what it is.
prime plus
I
one.
believe it's minus.
Well, anyway, it's certainly a way to, it's certainly a way to get the job done without going above and beyond his means right now.
Well, the other option is for us to pay for it, and that means the taxpayers of the whole town are funding his sewer system, which is also wrong.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that point either.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me is somebody can, after I go let you guys take it over, they can hook onto it with no precautions. And it doesn't seem fair.
I hear you. I hear you. I agree.
It should be looked into to see if that is something that could happen. That if somebody came in and they gave a percentage of what you paid to do it, you know, whether it be 5, I know I'm not putting any numbers in there, but see if they could participate when they hitch up, they could reimburse him for some sort of percentage, but we would want to check with our lawyer or whoever to see if that's something possible. That might ease the burden.
Isn't that power lines do that? Don't power lines
Yes.
do that?
You've been talking about
Yeah, they still do.
the
They
impact
still
fee.
do.
Yeah.
So is that coming from other towns, or is that something that this town does?
There's an impact fee in your ordinance.
There is. And what is it?
It's based on average gallons per day. Truthfully, we don't usually assess it. Because it benefits the system to have people connect.
I mean, is that something that sounds like sounds like you would appreciate that if we at least looked into that possibility of.
That, and as I said, if I could borrow some money from the town, that would be very much appreciated too. I'm not trying to get something done for nothing. I just,
As a non-engineer to this, like say if I was separated from this, whether how we use betterment funds or not. Like say, for instance, the Jacobs apartment building that's there, that's generally law schoolers. This is a thing that, this is something that helps benefit the law school to being in town. I'm just saying, like, if we can justify using betterment funds in other ways. To me, just as an outsider saying like, this to me is like a place where betterment funds are also applied, just, you know, just being outside separate saying that.
Yeah, I think the betterment fund there is a different situation. It's more.
Or whatever the money is we get from the law school.
Well, it's something if the board feels strong enough about it, we used to go to the betterment fund, go to the law school and ask if they would accept the use of that particular money. I mean, that's something that used to be available. I've been off the board for 6 years, but.
Who's on the revolving loan right now?
Me.
Revolving loan fund, me.
So
Donna, ask me if
it sounds like what the board wants to know is whether we can return impact fees to Mr. Tiller to defray his costs of installation, and whether
Yep.
the revolving loan fund is a viable option.
Yep.
To be able to lend him the money. So I would suggest that perhaps there's a select board member or two who would like to gather that information and bring it back to the board.
Next meeting.
I'd rather go with the revolving loan because my hopes is once this is fixed, I am putting it on the market.
Yeah.
And if we have it, so it's I have to be the owner that's not mounting it much of anything, so.
Right.
Do you see any issue with that,
Very so.
with approaching, you know, revolving loan fund about it?
I do not see anything.
I'm 74 and I'm sick of it.
I hear you, I hear you.
That seems like the best
Yeah.
solution at the moment.
Just as long as we're definitely on the agenda for whatever the next meeting is, because we are gonna come up into the timeline.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's
Jacob
why,
was
that,
prepared to mobilize mid and May, so.
okay,
That's when you're gonna start the project.
We were originally supposed to finish this by the state for June 1, but the state did say they would extend the deadline to August. I don't remember exactly, August 1st, August 15th, or sometime in August.
Is there, but you know, there's money available, right? I mean, I haven't heard of
There
it.
is.
To ask for,
yeah, there's money in the revolving loan fund waiting to be used.
and if he sold, he could Pay and all that
you,
right there.
what,
Yeah.
be in the stipulation, if it's sold,
Yeah.
you get the longest paid back in full, right then and there.
No, I mean, that sounds like a good solution, right?
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, so.
I mean, you haven't had motions and everything yet, but I'm just saying thank you for the
Well, I don't know, we
conversation.
Don't know if we need one, do we?
We don't need a
We've got a
motion,
plan.
we need,
When's your next meeting?
well, we don't have regular meetings, we had them when we need them. Ian, you have my email, so if you email, me, I can contact Rita, who is the chair,
Okay.
and see how quickly we can get together, to meet. Mr. Teller will need, to get an application for the revolving loan fund, which,
Ian, I can email it to you.
Perfect. Yeah,
There you go.
John does an email, so yeah. she can-
there you go, so we can get this rolling.
Cool.
All right,
And if for some reason that.
that's true,
doesn't
then,
work,
and we'll have
then
another conversation in 2 weeks,
Come back here. Or sooner.
or sooner. Okay,
I'm taking up so much time.
no, that's okay,
Well, thank you, I really appreciate it.
you bet. Recreation Committee, the Patient Recreation Committee.
All right. I think we have a couple of things,
Yes.
oh, that's, okay.
That's right.
Emily's probably better prepared, Emily will have to correct me if I get this all right, slash wrong in my wording. So talking about the ice rink and some signage, there was an incident, this winter where there was someone who fell and had an injury and, the ambulance was called, I'm getting this all right. So we were recommended by the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, to have
Thank
some
you.
signage put up. I believe it was brought up before and it was. We were kind of. Got the impression, I wanna say, that, no signs were preferred. Because it felt like it opened up more of an opportunity for responsibility on the town's part if there was some sort of injury or issue. And so they preferred not having any signage in place. We're getting the opposite feedback from Vermont cities.
I'm sorry, who said no signage was better?
Didn't we get that?
Was that from?
We said,
we
wait for
said-
signs until we talk to
Okay.
VLCT.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So here on the top of the list is kind of the recommendation from them of what signage should say. That it should indicate hours of use. We wouldn't necessarily have hours of use on there, but if it was preferred on behalf of the select board, we could do that. But essentially, no horseplay, no glass containers, no drugs or alcohol, and then a contact name and phone number to report problems. The rec commission doesn't have a phone number. We would instead list something along the lines of, if there was a non-emergent problem, to send us an email if there was something that we needed to address. And that for clarification, that for emergencies to call 911 and post the address. I picked 30 Park Street. That was kind of the middle of Park Street, because there's not, to the best of my knowledge, I couldn't find an actual 911 address for the green. That brought up at our meeting the discussion of if we were posting something for the ice rink along those lines, it seemed appropriate to also post it near like the playground at Carpenter Fields. And potentially even Hope Field, as we do sometimes have kids playing soccer games or baseball games there. But we again wanted to come back to the select board before we post any signs, to see how it was felt or what. Who should be posted. Or who should be posted, or if they're, we don't want to post something on behalf of the town that we don't have the authority to do. So this is what was recommended to us to put on a sign, so we're kind of looking for select board
Kristen,
feedback.
is there a question about whether town insurance covers you or not?
No, that's not the question.
No, it's not the question.
No, but, I think the feeling, from what I understood, was that if we posted something, did it kind of give an open invitation that there was responsibility on the town's behalf if something was to happen?
Well, I
We
think-
only post it in one place and not every single town property.
Well, I think if the town supports the recreation commission and has it in their budget, that insurance covers everything that we've got. That includes you.
I mean, but this wouldn't be, say, necessarily a rec member, like, what if
Oh, I know,
someone is
but-
ice skating on the ice rink
Yeah,
and
but you
falls and
don't-
cracks their head open and
Yeah,
wants to
but
sue the
that's
town?
right. And anybody who skates on that, I mean, you put it there. What are you gonna, you're not stopping anybody from skating on
That
it.
we are not.
So the town has a liability if somebody gets hurt. I mean, it's not rocket science.
I think the suggestion from Vermont Cities and Towns was just that this is sort of the cover yourself.
It's the risk management approach.
Yeah, of saying like, it's play at your own risk, essentially.
I don't oppose have a few putting up these signs.
Okay.
But I don't want you to feel that you're out there on a limb all by yourself, because you're not.
No, I think they were just worried about putting up signs that we didn't know about.
Right, I mean, we
Basically.
didn't wanna just overstep bounds, so.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fine. And, you know, frankly, maybe, for the ice rink one, before we put it up, maybe wanna consider appropriate hours or even suggested hours, you know, so that people have an idea that maybe they shouldn't be out there at 11:30 night.
yeah, I agree with that,
Get lights, right?
yeah, there is lights.
And are they on the timer or?
Yes.
When's it,
Just to dawn.
dusk to dawn?
Oh, so you could be skating out there 2 a.m. with the lights on, right?
I'd rather have a kid out there skating at 2 a.m. doing something else than 2 a.m.
I'm just wondering if,
Yeah, maybe, okay.
I mean, I don't think out of,
if.
you know, like respect for those people
Yeah,
living,
yeah.
like Tim was saying earlier, you know, living right there, I think it's completely reasonable to say until. I mean, I would say like 9 p.m. I know that there's like. People that use it well past that, I don't know.
Well,
That
I
was
mean,
that situation, I mean, I guess.
I'm
if
not aware
someone
of any
wants to be respectful, they're gonna respect it, if they don't,
Right,
they're
I'm not
going
aware-
regardless of a sign.
I'm not aware of complaints about noise or issues with late skating, so that's not.
Jess, you would know that, what's the signage for riding a horse or like any property like that? There's a legal statement that's like, you're doing this at your own risk and that's that.
Yeah, it's funny, like Lori would be, Lori Hudson would be the one to know, but I don't think that there are signs around there. I think you usually have to sign a release waiver wherever, if you're gonna go to a competition or something like that, that you're not gonna.
I thought it was
I
like,
think there's a lot of.
there's a
covers.
posted,
Yeah,
yeah,
covers
like,
horses.
if you're not paying for something, then you can't sue somebody about it.
So your official ask is the bottom half here, this bit is what you would like.
Right, is
To
there
put on the
any,
sign.
yeah, is there
Yeah.
any strong objection to
No,
a sign of such nature being posted?
I move that we authorize the recommended to use signs that, as noted on this paper, at the Oak Field, Carpenter Field, and Ice Rink.
I second that motion.
I get ahead of ourselves.
Any further discussion? I'll go with the signs. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
You have your signs.
You know, in fact, so I'm gonna let you handle that.
You're the director.
Nell, are we gonna go over the other list? that you-
I mean, I guess yeah, since you're on the agenda and I brought it up to a couple people last time, but we haven't fully gotten to discuss it because we have to do it at a board meeting. So if
Okay.
if we want to dive into that, I'll help you. I did take notes the last time, so.
Okay.
But yeah,
So the first item I have is in the carpenter shed at Carpenter Field. The panel box, we have a couple outlets that when you attempt to use them, they spark Great.
Yeah, but they work after
Full
that,
of
they work after that, right? I mean, that's just at first.
And I think the general consensus of this list is we're not sure where the responsibility of Royalton Rec lies versus where the responsibility of the town lies.
If, yeah,
That's town.
yeah, that's
Buildings and grounds, yeah.
That's gonna be us. Yeah. Yeah, what do you think, Walter?
I didn't think so. I think the electrical is definitely.
So Walter, can you get over to the carpenter shed and stick your fingers?
How much does it?
Yeah.
Let me know when you go. All video.
You will, okay, okay. You want me to wait, Thomas?
So
So
is
then
this,
on that was the fencing as well. Did you wanna?
Yeah, so that wooden fence that's at the top of the hill of the parking lot. Last year, a couple pieces were broken. We've taken the nails and the broken pieces off, but there are others that are going to break in the coming seasons. And it, maybe not the entire structure, but at least the top piece where people tend to sit to watch the games on the lower field. Potentially need to be replaced.
Yeah, really, yes, it's on the agenda.
You need another sign that says don't sit on the fence.
At your own risk.
The benches.
Don't mind the nails. Yep, so then the next item is the granite benches that are there. A lot of them have come apart. And are not safe for people to sit on to watch the games, for kids to play on. So I don't know if we just, I'd hate to see them taken down completely because they're memorial items, but I think we need to have them fixed.
so are the slats wooden?
No, they're all concrete.
They're all
I don't know why
concrete.
they fell over. I don't know whether somebody knocked them over or what, because they're pretty sturdy.
They're very
They don't have enough base under them.
Right, correct.
They need
They
a-
should,
they
they
need
should
a
be
proper
concrete.
base.
Correct. Yeah, concrete
Yes.
base. You're correct, yes. And we actually want to move them out.
Mowing.
For mowing too.
Jason's always been grumpy about that. And other things.
What's that?
I don't know who installed them in the first place, I assume in town.
They each have a like they're donated.
Donated,
They're,
but the installation would have been us, I'm
Right,
assuming.
yeah, I don't know who did it. I really don't remember.
I mean, as I think that we should have benches there.
Yeah.
I think that we should, that's. Yeah, I don't wanna say.
And if we have, we should maintain them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they should look good.
Yeah.
Tell me what.
And
Item is the water fountain on the
That's a major issue.
further end is leaking, so we cannot have the water turn on during
Right.
baseball and soccer season.
Problem is that, with that, I have no that's a major fix.
Right.
Because
We
the
have to dig it.
way they installed it, you have to dig the whole monument to fix what the problem is. And there's no shut off between the two, so it's one of those things that's, like, it should be fixed, but this.
Where is there a shut off?
Yes, it shuts them both off.
Where is it?
I don't know, Paul Brock knows where it is.
I believe it's either behind or within the Vermont Hospital Fitness Center.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a run.
Yes.
and the fact that they're separated by, there's a bit of a run between like.
Nobody
Yeah.
knows whether they split, where the line split to feed them.
Right.
I'd like to put two valves in, but nobody knows where they are. I can't.
Nobody knows where the split is.
Nobody knows where the split is.
You get out there with a metal detector.
Isn't there some sort of a detector that can pick up water lines down in the
Yeah,
ground?
They say they weren't, probably it's not big enough.
Not enough water?
Big enough.
Mm,
I don't know, we could try that, but again, it's not it's a pretty good expense, yes, yeah,
Well, Jerry Swayze does all the work at the fair. I'm sure he could fix it.
yeah.
I don't think it should have to go on without it being fixed.
Yeah.
It can be fixed.
It can be fixed, but it's not gonna be cheap.
I mean, it could also be moved, if it's better to put water for the kids at the field somewhere else,
Mhm.
abandon those two spots.
Even just like a height. I
Yeah,
mean,
if you just
something-
want water.
Yeah, you can fill up your water bottle, yeah.
Something to play with,
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
It becomes tough because then you also have to monitor it for bacteria and make sure that it's a clean thing,
Yeah.
but that's.
That doesn't happen with fountains. I'm just saying, like,
No,
no.
they
it's good
are
point.
supposed to do it, they are
It is
supposed
supposed to
to,
have been-
they're supposed to do it either once or twice a year, yeah.
I believe they do sample from the water fountains when they are.
When they're, yeah, they haven't been on in years,
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah. Do you have more on that list?
Yes. The parking lot,
I did bring that up.
okay, has a lot of potholes, very big potholes. I know Jeff Knudsen in years past has used the law school tractor and smoothed it out. But he's under the impression that it is technically a town responsibility. And with baseball starting this week, I'd kind of like to know if the parking lot could be graded.
I did ask Demi and he said, yeah, I could do that. But I didn't, Demi and I, maybe somebody else.
I hear you. I hear you.
I don't understand. You have these problems. Why haven't they been fixed? What's the problem? Have you asked for them and they haven't been fixed?
Many times.
Well-
The first like 4 or 5 have
I'll
been
tell
there
you
for the
what,
last
you come-
18 months.
If they don't get fixed, you come and see me. I will see they get fixed.
That would be great, because yeah, it's been I think.
This is ridiculous when this
18
stuff's
months
going
ago.
on and kids are using the fields and it's not working and if there's people responsible for fixing them, we'll get them fixed.
Okay,
Just got a matter of finding out who's responsible and get them fixed. This is ridiculous.
All right, my next item, we're looking at fixing the baseball fields at Carpenter Field. It's looking like we may need to have some more infield mix. And we're just wondering, like, are we responsible for ordering that? Do we bring it to the town and you guys order it?
How much infield mix do you think that you need?
No, but it's, Tim says we're gonna need a lot more.
There was like a whole bunch left down there after the last flood repair.
He thinks we're gonna use that and more to bring up.
In the past, yeah, we've bought it direct.
The rec department buys it,
The
right?
rec
Yeah,
department buys it, yeah, out of your budget.
So I guess that leads into my next item is of the reimbursement process for us to purchase items. Right now, we only have to go through Rita. And if I'm told that we're not allowed to get reimbursed if we purchase items like personally. And that you get a 1099 if you do submit for reimbursement.
Yes. So the town's purchasing policy, for one, requires that you get a quote if you're anticipating to purchase something over $5,000. So depending on how much infield mix you need and what the labor is going to be to install that, you should be aware that you will likely need at least 3 quotes for that, and we can help you do that. But we do, anything that's purchased for the town is generally purchased directly by the town. It's a bad accounting practice to reimburse individuals directly for expenses. Sometimes it happens, but the town does not want it to be done as a matter of course, where there's a particular individual who's spending their own money and then getting reimbursed, because then you're paying taxes and we also have to issue you a 1099. It makes everything complicated, which is why we just ask everyone to send in what you need. If you need, quotes.
1099 is over $600, isn't it?
A 1099 is over $600
Is there
and it
anybody here that's
happens.
gonna spend over 600? How's that?
I need to talk to Rita again, but I don't understand, and hopefully Victoria can explain, why can't they have a credit card?
We do have a credit card.
No,
The town has a credit card.
Why can't the rec department have a credit card? They have a budget, and
Yes.
if they are responsible and we don't have to micromanage them, why can't they have that credit card?
They have access to it.
So they have access to the town's credit card. They can take the credit card, they can shop for what they need, they can bring back the credit card and the receipts. Otherwise, the town would need to designate an authorized user on the credit account. That would be someone on the rec department who's an authorized user.
Okay.
The town would still be responsible for paying the bill, the rec department would still be responsible for submitting the receipts. It's certainly an option. It's just not our current practice. We currently have 2 credit cards that are able to be given out at any time.
And I agree, I think that's good policy. Does everybody know that the town has a credit card that you can use?
We can, but I think it is challenging for all of us as volunteers who also have full-time jobs. To
Yeah.
get here to get the credit card when the town office is open and then have like 24 hours, we're allowed to hold it and bring it back. And
So you're not gonna get a 1099 if you don't go over $600.
I mean, I think we're happy to do it, whatever process is better. It's better to not be reimbursed, but it's just always very challenging. Like, we can only order things that are available on Amazon, essentially. And, you know.
I mean, we also, like, we have an account at Abishans, we have accounts at Bethel Mills, like, there are lots of places where you can purchase regular items.
I'm pretty sure we have an account with the Hennikers, like where you need to get that infill mix. Like they'll just bring the load up and bill you for it.
Right, and they'll just invoice you after,
Yeah,
which is fine.
cause they usually.
So we get that, but like, for instance, Emily went to Avishon to purchase something and then got the riot act because she wasn't
a town employee. Or
an appropriate user, so it's just been very difficult.
Well, if you,
It's fun.
if you buy something at Abishon's, you need to have a person's name there. And so, you know, if you're gonna buy something at Abishon's in the rec department, as long as your name is there, it's okay.
Well, that's the problem, there can only be like 4 names or something for like the whole town, like,
Yeah,
it's. It's,
well, if you need something added, if you need a person added, then,
well,
you know, I would see
I think there's only
Victoria.
4 slots allowed, and so.
It's become a little,
it's
it's
been-
become a little bit more difficult
Yeah.
since it went from Welch's to Avishans, but we can work on that if it's needed. To try to
We just don't
arrange
want-
something separate.
No one deserves to get the riot act because they're trying to do a good deed.
I agree.
Not trying to make it difficult.
And I think what's hard is that, what I'm saying is that a board changes so frequently. Every year it's new, and now Emily's a new, taking over a leadership, and it's very, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that I had to do that. I didn't know that I needed this much time to give a heads up that I need a receipt for that. And then Rita, has her job that she has to do and keep track of everything. So it's tricky when things are constantly changing, but it does seem like a cumbersome problem for the rec department, and I feel like they do enough for the town that we could make it easier somehow, and I don't know how, but maybe if we think about it and brainstorm a little bit.
I mean,
Come up
even knowing that like there's an account somewhere that we can get the code from.
Right, no, I didn't know that.
Like, you know, Victoria handles the town money, so, you know, she would be the person to ask the question. If you get a problem, you know, I would hope that she would be helping you out.
She does, but she won't in a minute, so that's gonna be another problem, and it'd be nice if we could be less reliant on, or if we could all understand what's going on so that we don't have one point of funnel point where we're off, it's like.
But if we start taking care of some of the needs that's been outlined tonight, maybe this is a lesser problem than it has been.
Yes.
Do you have more on your list?
No, the trash is gone, we took care of that.
Took the trash cans out,
Yeah, we cleaned up everything.
yeah.
So that was a little frustrating. Emily's being very
Yeah.
modest about that, is that had also, I think it had been 2 years that there was just piles of trash in front of the Carpenter Field. And we had requested, I mean, I lost track of how many times
The problem is
hold on.
that when Jim was here, Jim and I was the liaison,
Mhm.
and I talked to Jim all the time. And there's no person that
Yeah.
you, like the pension stuff, I won't talk to me, one person that on the committee, come to me and say, this is an issue. And that's been the issue. When Jim was there, so that's some of
I mean,
the.
I think that pile, we don't have to litigate this, but I know that like we emailed about that pile of trash and we got referred to you and then.
It's not as easy as you make it.
I don't think that's-
Right, yeah, so.
But it does get frustrating for 2 years it was out there and then some of it was taken back last fall. And then Emily and her husband, just on their own time, went and cleaned up a bunch of it. Last summer, they, did a bunch of the weed whacking around there. And then submitted to the town for a reimbursement for the trash, getting rid of the trash.
Do you have Walter's email?
Cell phone.
We're third of the way through our list.
And if you
Yeah,
have
I know.
problems like that, I'm serious, you can call me. Call me in my home, just tell me you got a problem like that. And I'll get a hold of these guys if I have to, to straighten it out.
Thank you.
Is there anything more?
I think that covers everything.
All right.
Did you talk about a work
Thank you.
tractor,
So I don't know about the work day because the trash and stuff has all been picked up, but
okay.
there was a tractor in the dugout that was donated to the wreck that went through the flood. The school attempted to fix it. Wasn't able to be fixed, so we currently have nothing to drag the baseball fields with. We have the drags, but nothing to pull it. So we were wondering if we could get.
Is that a big, is it a
It's like a
30
lawn
horse tractor?
Yeah, it's like a
lawn tractor.
325 or 425 or.
And we're happy to get a used one. We were hoping to maybe even find one that,
So
so
what's-
we wanna do a write-off.
what's wrong with it?
but
It went through the flood. It was down in the lower dugout. It's been flooded twice. We had fixed it. We had fixed it when I was the chair, whatever. 16 or 15 or
So
whatever.
right now you don't have anything to drag the fields with.
I think I can fix that.
You know a guy, do you?
Well, I don't have my company anymore, but maybe I could talk them into donating and make it work. We'll see just how they feel about it. The manager seems to be a pretty receptible person, so I'll try tomorrow.
Larry's on tractor's not junk, it just needs to get.
Yeah, we're not looking.
What is
for
it? Is it John Deere or
It's
something else?
a John Deere, it's either, I wanna say it's like a 325 or 425 or something.
The motor-
That size.
motor's the
Mower
issue?
Style, yeah,
The motor is the issue?
it just got flooded, it probably just needs a full.
Take it apart and cleaned up and whatnot?
I think that's what they attempted to do, and they attempted to pick it up before break, and there was like no throttle to it. You gave it gas and it died out.
No. Might be worth looking at, but meantime, I'll try to see if I can get you something that'll work.
Yeah, we're
Maybe
not,
we can-
look- just to be clear, we're not looking for anything new and.
No, I understand that.
We're
but
looking for something that
There may be
just-
some trade-ins they've got and they could do it, you know. I'll see what I can figure out. and
Need
get
something
back
to
to
drag
you.
the fields with.
Yeah, I'll see what I can figure out tomorrow.
Thank you, Larry.
So always who you know.
Officially in. All right,
Wildcats.
What's that?
emergency management.
Okay. We have our own language here, but LEM is a local emergency management plan.
Thanks, rec department.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, yeah.
Now, this has to be updated every year.
Yeah.
If we don't,
Bye, Ian.
then we are not eligible for any money from the state or the feds. So it has to be. So I've been doing this every year. I add to it every year. You guys sign it every year. It goes to here and there and everywhere and it's approved. This year they required, they made some changes. So they're requiring some additional information, most of which I already had in there. And a little bit extra was like some detail about the shelter or something like that. So that wasn't a big deal. They changed the format, so that was a pain in the ass, but it's done. I didn't make any major substance change that would really affect the town or you guys. I do this every year, update the contacts. So now it's like, God, again, 6 or 8 pages
Yeah.
of contacts. And I want to officially thank Kathy Cassie because she did a lot of the grunt work of, making phone calls and emails and sort of confirming them or correcting them and things like that. And the other big difference is that it goes directly to the state now. It used to go to Two Rivers. They had to approve it. And once they approved it, they never did, or it came back to me. Then, once they approved it, then it went to the state, now it goes directly to the state. So I sent it out, or the draft, last week.
Yep.
And if you're okay with it, I just need Patrick's signature on this form. And I can send it.
Cool, yeah. I had a peek at it and it looks like a,
Yeah, I saw all the contacts on it. It's mind boggling.
Yeah, I
Trail
know.
load of them.
yeah,
Trail.
Yeah, and there's more than they require. But I'm thinking for this to be at least a little bit useful. Might as well have some of those.
Yeah,
names
no,
and
it's
numbers.
great.
I can't believe it was a year ago. I remember you doing this a year ago. I can't believe you have to do it again. It's amazing. Thanks for that.
Do you believe I will need a motion for us to adopt?
Yes.
To make a motion, we adopt the LENP.
Second that motion?
Any further discussion?
Is there anything about the plan that's different other than what you said?
No, I think, the biggest thing, this was done at least 5, maybe 10 years ago. There's a spot in there that says, Generi are authorized to spend $1,000 in an emergency before we have to come to the select board. And so I'm thinking, if we need to rent a porta potty, or we need to buy some pizza for some volunteers, or, some kind of low level expense like that, that we can just do.
Yeah, but I mean, they're
But
not
that's been there for years.
substantive changes.
I just want to ask one thing. In an emergency situation, does that plan have a center? Like where there are people that are given direction?
Emergency operating center?
Yes.
Yeah, that whole,
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
does lay it out in there of different locations that could be and who would need to be there.
Main person is the contact.
Yeah, I mean, this office over here is our main EOC, which is Emergency Operations Center.
so you,
It has a
there
radio and
is
stuff
one in
like
there.
that, and then we have some potential alternates if we can't use that. We actually bought that for this reason.
And, okay, and who's in charge? In an emergency?
Oh, it depends on the emergency. So if it's a law enforcement thing, it's law enforcement. If it's a fire thing, then
Chief.
fire service. So it depends on the emergency. Our job, if needed, is to sort of be able to coordinate. Not direct it, but coordinate it. Pass the state or whoever for resources, if we need more resources. So it's kind of-
I've been through one. That's why I'm asking. And the state police and the fire department were there, and they all stayed 500 feet away from the school. It was the first
Well,
one.
I'm not a first responder,
Okay,
that's police, fire, and EMS, basically.
All right, all those in favor of adopting the LENP as was sent to us? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Thank
carries.
you, Brad.
So I'm on the bottom line here. Municipality has adopted. Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
because the other one's a certification, which
Salzman.
that's me.
that's you.
Salzman. S-A-L-Z-M-A-N.
There's two ends.
Oh, two N's. Sorry. I think he sent us an email,
You gotta focus it.
sure it's got an eye for these things.
Yeah.
So
So
we're
much
not,
for using a computer. We used to handwrite it.
we're not on there, right? It's just
So
town contact.
the contact list, in fact, the whole plan. Unless you say that you want it public, is not public. So each of you have a copy. That one has a copy, I have a copy, Jen has a copy, the state will have a copy. That's it. It's not. I don't know.
Circulate.
You said it was gonna go everywhere.
Well, it goes everywhere with me on a thumb drive
Is it,
as an emergency
is
backup.
it in this building, right here?
Last year's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you have
Yeah,
the draft of this year.
yeah.
and then this year's will be also. So
Make you a red book.
you go.
Okay,
You're also talking about the continuity of operations plan?
yeah. So I brought this up last year and I never really pursued it. And no one did. But this is it's not required. But this is sort of I call it a what if plan. And basically, it's a plan where we sort of lay out what are the vital functions of the town, who are the vital people that do some of those, are responsible for some of those vital functions. Where are some of the vital locations? And then we think of, maybe how can we back that up or alternate, with some other place or person. So it's sort of a succession plan. So I say, what if this building blew? What would we do? What if the fire department building burned to the ground like it did in Randall? What if, right, what if you could go forever, what ifs? What if we were to lose our town administrator? So it's just that kind of that plan. So what I was hoping was to get maybe one or two of you and some other people or write up and whatever, and sit down and sort of go through this plan. There's a template from the state, and it's just sort of a matter of filling in the blanks. So it doesn't even need a motion.
I'd be interested.
Okay.
When's it due? Or is it not?
It's
It's
not
optional.
required.
It's not required, so
It's
there's
been
no
on my,
deadline.
it's been on my radar for years and years and years, and brought it up a couple times and never really did anything. And that's my fault. I take that. So at least for parts of it, I think someone from the select board, police, fire, rescue, maybe the town clerk, maybe Demi, to do different parts of it. That's all.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, but. Updates, so.
And by the way, that Randolph Fire Station joke will never get old.
They have a nice one.
They do.
So last week was the regional. It's called REMC, Regional Emergency Management Commission. Meeting. And so there's some updates from that. As of last week. Can't say between then and now. FEMA was still in existence. But we are anticipating some major changes. For example, it's always been, if we can prove this county spent or has $1 million or more expenses, then we can apply for federal disaster. They are thinking that's 1 million is gonna go up to like 5 million or 10 million or who knows. Or if it's even gonna get cut off. Already a bunch of the grants have been eliminated. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But we are the recipient, state, the region, and even the town have been the recipient of some of those grants that are no longer available. So that's it. Next is the local hazard mitigation plan, LHMP. That we have to update every 5 years, same as the LEMP. If we don't, then we're not eligible for any grants or reimbursement. Ours is due next year, and they typically have been facilitated by Two Rivers, who has sort of got a group of us together, go through the plan, then they do it all up. And I have somewhere here next year's.
Is that one of the grants we expect are no longer going to be available?
Bingo. So this has always been paid for by the hazard mitigation grant, which is a federal grant, which has been eliminated. So that money had gone to Two Rivers. And then they provide the
The
service.
service.
So I did talk to someone from Two Rivers. Well, part of the problem is a lot of personnel at Two Rivers have changed. So I talked to someone last week. And he didn't really know what's going on. So I'm going to be contacting him. We have a year or so to do it, but I want to kind of get a jump on it. But the town might be liable for some of that money that we used to get.
And what kind of hit are we talking, Brad? Like,
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
think last time, off the cuff,
Yeah.
was between $8,000 and $10,000 in consulting.
Can we do it without them?
Yes, if you commit the time to doing it.
Sure, so you agree without them. I mean, we do have this one to sort of go by, but we really have to sit down and go through, all that stuff. That stuff being, what are the potential hazards? And we rate that. What if, how much of a risk are we at? How much have we mitigated? What do we need to do to mitigate more? So it's a really pretty detailed thought process.
But most of that's already done.
5 years ago.
Yeah. Not a whole lot's changed.
See,
Stuff does change with Brad and I know, we've done it before. Stuff does change. A little bit, so you have to rethink sometimes, so it's not one that you. Kind of glance through, you kind of have to read everything quite carefully. Would you agree with that, Brad?
It's also a mitigation plan, not a hazard identification plan, so there are action items in there where it says, we're going to take XYZ steps to try to mitigate these hazards.
Yeah, and some of the things where we might say, one of the major project we should do is upsizing culvert, or replacing bridge, or putting sprinklers in or whatever. So it's 70 something pages.
It's due next year.
5 years. The last thing is just an FYI, and I think I sent out an email a while ago, but what's called ICS 400, ICS 402 is kind of an introduction to the incident command system, which we are required to follow. That's part of the NIMS process that we just signed saying that we'll follow that. So it's not mandatory, but it would be great if some of the select board could take that. It's a 4-hour course. April 28th
Manchester?
in Manchester. So that's next week. I think it's Monday. And if anyone's interested, they can find out about it by going on the BEM website, but I can certainly help.
Are you going?
I don't need to, because I've taken ICS 100, 200, 300, 700, 800, and kind of ones. This is just kind of an introduction, but it sort of explains what it is and basically how it works. And that's it for me.
Any questions for Brad? Okay.
No, thank you for
Thank
working
you,
on
Brad.
it.
Did Sean say anything before he left?
He's not able to stay, but he was hopeful that you guys would approve of his job description, and he's willing to wait on the lighting if you wanted to speak with him about it some more.
So he doesn't want us to call him.
The lighting quote, the same one we got from dated March 27th.
I would expect so, yes.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions about the job description? To recap, it's 24 hours a week. It's a- with a- it's a general worker. Yeah, yard worker, yeah. You know,
Is it a replacement or a new position?
It's a replacement
replacement.
for a full-time position, actually.
Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome.
But yeah, I mean, I've read it through and if that's what John needs, it doesn't look like there's an issue to me. I mean, there's
Yeah.
24, and it's an hourly rate, the same as previous.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Is this person being asked to run the excavator?
No,
Does have to handle cash though, if he has to fill in.
right. I think that's that's the biggest duty, so to speak. Yep, Oh, no, I stand corrected. It is be cross-trained to run the excavator in event the operator is out.
I just heard from members of the community that one of the problems is that we don't have a person that can run that excavator, that it damaged because of use. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Yeah.
I would wanna make sure that whoever's on that thing knows what they're doing. And put somebody on it that don't know what they're doing. Somebody's gonna get hurt, building's gonna get damaged, the machine's gonna get damaged.
I would say there have been previous employees and instances where that has been the case, but to the best of my knowledge, it is not currently.
So right now we have somebody who can run the thing.
Yeah, he's been on there quite a while. I
Yeah.
think he's been there quite a while. I think the biggest possible damage to that machine is when he has to compact what he puts into the trailers that go to the landfill. And he has to pound on them to get them compacted, to get more material in there, because the more material tonnage that he can get is more than they can get transported. They don't have so many loads. And I know it's really hard, and I think that's what cracked the boom to start with. But, it's something that has to be done. I don't know any other way to do that.
Well, how it's done makes a difference on how the machine is handled.
He gets pretty close to it. He gets pretty close. I mean, as to what he can be with the wall that's there. So his machine is pretty much not so much like this. But I haven't seen, cause I use the facility at least every every 2 weeks, 6 weeks. And I haven't seen him do anything that I didn't think was okay. While I was there, but anyway.
I would have to plead ignorance. I see him using it. I have no idea whether it's being done.
Well, I have one, so.
Yeah, no, I trust you, sorry.
Well, I know if you treat a piece of equipment right, you can make it last a long time.
Oh, yeah, but I
If
think
you
that,
mistreat it,
that
you don't.
particular motion that he has to go through, it definitely is, it's hard on the tracks, it's hard on the pins inside that when you rotate it, I mean, it's kind of the nature of what has to be done. I will admit it doesn't look as new as I thought it should look in there, but that's just my opinion.
Value your opinion.
I move that we approve the job description that John created.
I'll second you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, he not on this, but I just want to make mention that maybe we should have the Royalton Transfer Station put back on the agenda for another time for talking
let's-
about.
Can we pass this motion before I forget?
Yeah,
Um,
gotta deal with the motion, it's on the table.
Well, it's more discussion. I thought it was more
No, but
discussion.
About the job description?
about the transfer station.
Okay, so.
Okay, I just
No,
think
I'll let
there's,
you speak in 10 seconds. All those in favor of accepting the job description as submitted by John, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now,
He,
yes,
he
It's just
sent
we've
us
done
an
this
email,
before
yep,
and
I
got
got it, he
derailed,
sent
yeah.
me an email on, or sent all of us an email.
Yep,
About going back to,
residents or
yes,
alliance
so
members.
that's it, yep, moving on.
No, that, and I don't know if he had hoped to talk about that this evening, but I think that's a bigger discussion.
Yep, that's why I said we should put it on the list.
Absolutely.
I don't know about the lighting replacement proposal, I didn't check that out too much.
You wanna put LED lights instead?
What was the price? I don't remember.
5,900, I think.
Do they have it in their budget? For maintenance?
I just want to know if Efficiency Vermont is
They
involved.
did not, they're not, he did, the quote did specifically reference that there is no opportunity. Trying to pull it back up now so I can see it.
I think it's been a bit since Efficiency Vermont has done anything for LEDs.
Okay,
You what?
I think it's been a little while since Efficiency Vermont has offered rebates on LEDs.
They did the fair last year,
I couldn't,
the whole fair, all LEDs.
for how much?
Saved us a lot of money.
yeah, I mean, it was,
Saved us like 40%.
I don't doubt it, but the proposal says specifically, at this time, there are no Efficiency Vermont rebates for commercial lighting.
So he's checked.
Yeah,
We want a motion on the updating of the lights for the transfer station?
and it requires a $2,000 deposit. So we can adopt, what's your motion to
To accept what he has for
the bid?
proposal for bid for the transfer station.
Before we do that, do you wanna go check?
Yeah, I've got a number of a girl that helped us.
Yeah. Check on that.
And I'll give her a call and find out I'll call her tomorrow, find
Okay.
out.
I don't think this has to be done tonight.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I withdraw my motion.
All right.
Yep.
So maybe we can make sure John's on for next time and for this and for the discussion about pulling back so that only Alliance members are, because that's the email he sent. They've been so busy. I know a couple of times in recent weeks, they've had to close early because they're full. They've got nowhere to put anything.
they're
And-
saying they still have the best rates of anywhere around, which is why they're getting more
Right,
business.
so,
And it makes sense.
And,
We're shopping around.
and maybe we could make sure that John's first at a consideration for him getting pushed down this time. Or high up anyway. You look skeptical. Discuss that. All right. Buildings and grounds. Is anyone here from buildings and grounds? What do you got, Walter?
You ever get the job description?
Yes. I did, trying to.
I have a copy if anybody didn't want it.
Oh, that'd be great. I don't think Bob has seen it.
I haven't.
Anyone else wants a copy?
I'll
Hey,
take
Ma-
that hard copy. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
I got one.
One more.
Sure, why not? I couldn't copy mine off. I got it on my computer, but I couldn't print it.
I kept one for myself to scribble on myself. I basically stole it from, Bethel. And I don't think it has to be done tonight. I think that we review it, look at it and make a decision on it. I think that's,
It is not, completely time sensitive?
No, it's not complete, but I think it needs to be done by the next meeting.
Okay.
I think that's like.
Is this person gonna mow the park too?
Maybe.
They collect garbage.
I'm wondering if you've repeated, you've got this thing about good vision in two places.
Okay.
I don't know if it needs places good vision or.
Yeah, as I said, I stole it from Bethel.
That's right. One for each eye.
I'll look into that then, work on that, so. It does say it's.
For everybody's edification, can you expound on the maybe for the mowing?
I mean,
Bob said, they're gonna mow the park and you said.
oh, okay, all right, the mow the park, that's maybe possibly in the future, but that requires another $1,000 or $2,000 more to add to the tractor. So that's it's whether we want to take that contract over to do that. And also too, it includes getting a trailer.
To pull the tractor around.
Pull the tractor around and possibly a vehicle. So it's not. It's one of those things that sounds good, looks good, everybody does it, but it's another investment of a trailer and maybe the truck available to the town, through the highway department, but it does require another vehicle. Because if we mow the park, there's I think there's 7 or 8 places we mow now. And they're all over town.
Would this be Royalton as well as South Royalton, you're thinking?
Yep,
Oh, you gotta move the tractor.
right, exactly, so we need a
That's what he's
trailer
talking about,
and
yeah.
a truck to move that.
What are what's the highway department have don't they have a 1 ton that they don't use?
They use it in the summertime for chloride.
Okay, so it's our staff. No, I was just, Demi was talking about having the 1 ton that they couldn't plow that driveway up on Peterman's driveway or Peterson's. Because they'd have to go back to the shop to get it every time they had to plow that driveway, and it's like, well, sounds like they're not using it.
It's not used in the winter time, it's used, and that's possibly some of this position may be, plowing some of those out. We currently pay for, the, academy building. Person that's doing the shop could plow that out. There's some other areas like that, could be working in the streets, down street work.
What about the mowing contracts we have now when you sub out? I think
The
20,
mowing contract's extended for another year, and then we have to make kind of a decision on it this year.
but what's the number roughly? 20-25,000?
I think it's close to 30.
It's about 30. So you put that towards, a pickup and a
Yeah,
trailer.
Exactly.
And your equipment, you'll be awash pretty quick.
It would be a walk pretty quick, but we just have to make that decision.
Well, right, I understand that. If you get the manpower to handle it, that seems to be sometimes a quagmire.
Right.
Do we have the mower now?
Well, we don't, we use the current lawn tractor that we snow blow with, would probably work to do that. But we don't have a deck underneath, we don't have a deck. We never bought the deck.
Is that the same one that we had years ago, or has that been traded since I was off the board? So it's a newer one.
Brand new.
We just
Okay,
bought it.
You just bought it.
okay, so it's fairly new and it would, would stand
It's
it.
not
Stand.
leaving pieces all over
Yeah,
town. like
well, I know the other one had been rode hard and put away wet.
Many times. Yeah. Many times, too many times.
So this tractor you have right now has a mower on the bottom.
No, it does
No,
not.
it does not.
It does not.
It could.
It could.
We'd have to get the deck, but then we have to figure out how to.
Has
Drag
a
it.
snow blower.
It has a
Yep.
snow blower, has a sweeper, with a.
How big is it? You know what it is?
It's a 1025.
25 engine horsepower. Same thing would fit the smaller 2-wheel drive lawnmowers. Well, the same equipment will fit the same mower deck, the same snow blower and things like that, but different attaching brackets, but the basic things are the same. So yeah, the more deck, get a 60-inch deck on it and it'll be zipping right
What
along.
width of the mower deck?
60, 54 and 60. You want to get a 60.
And I think they're about $2,000, maybe $4,000.
Yeah, that Deere offers a municipal discount, so I don't know. Been a while since
I think it's somewhere between 4 and for a deck.
yeah,
Have we got contracts out already for mowing for?
for this season, yes.
For this season.
When did the contracts, how long were those?
It's a 3-year contract with it's a 1-year contract with a 3-year renewal. So that. With 3 1-year. 3 1-year contracts, and so we renew it every year. Basically, I renew it every year, so it's up next year. This is the last year that. Last year.
When are the dates for that? When does it get renewed?
When we usually sometime in the early winter, that's when we do it.
December?
Yeah, it's December, sometime December, January, that's when the guys get around, they want the lawn mows.
Does that include the Royalton too?
Yes, yeah, as I said, there's seven or 8 places we.
That are all part of the contract?
Yes, yeah, all the Carpenter Field,
That's Karen.
yeah, Jason Karen, yeah.
Why is the town office mowing separate number? Or is that just
It's not.
separated out?
So when we put the mowing out to bid, we ask for a price on each parcel.
Okay.
Just so we can keep track of it, but then it all is put on one line in the town report, just for consistency of knowing what the mowing actually costs. But if we needed to, we could break it out into what it costs for each specific parcel.
The transfer station is not mowed by this contract.
Correct.
So
They're really 2 separate entities, it's not, kind of its own,
And then. What about the plowing
for
that I see?
plowing.
Benson? Josh Benson?
For plowing for what?
That's an agreement that your road foreman made
Yeah,
with Benson. Karen plows the academy building.
yes,
So
and the sidewalks are.
sidewalks, yeah,
What does Josh do? What does-
he plows the academy.
I guess that's a road foreman thing. I didn't know that. I just was wondering. So Demi pays him out of the highway
It
budget.
comes out of the highway budget, yeah.
For just the academy building,
Not for the academy building.
what did you say?
I don't understand, we have plows, town and stuff, why don't we take care of our own?
It's probably because he thought the trucks were too big to get in there, even the
Yeah,
5500s.
That's some of the issue with the 1-ton that's there, the plow is very big, it's huge. The plows are big, they're 10-foot plows. And then, a 10-foot plow going on a small road is difficult. And that was some of the thing we talked about, maybe with a truck, you'd have to buy a plow, because an 8-foot plow at 10 just makes a difference.
When I was on the board before. The town plowed out the school.
Right,
I don't understand, we have the equipment, why we don't take care of our stuff all over
well,
town?
because the school's a different energy now,
No, it doesn't have to be,
it is,
doesn't have to be.
it's the White River Alley, it's a different energy.
You know, if we're spending double money when we could be doing it, when our own town crew could be doing it.
They have hardly time enough to do that.
Just really bothers me.
But the equipment's got so much bigger, Bob, than it used to be. I mean, the tandem axles
Yeah,
and,
but you can have a small plow, Larry, if that's a problem.
yeah, but he's talking about right here. If you got a truck and a plow on it, you can do the small stuff then. This is kind of exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you get this and above and beyond mowing the lawn, there's other things that can be done.
Well,
We
if you
got
take-
a list down
If this
through here
person
that,
take care of all the plowing around the town, I would agree with you. But if we park this and somebody else does over here, I don't get that.
Well, that's why it is confusing and in the town report, it is confusing and it would behoove us to consolidate all these numbers. Another one of the contracts is the garbage, which I've been complaining about all year, and like one of my driving forces of like coming onto the select board. I don't think we should ever have garbage strewn all over the
I
green.
100% agree with you.
And so that's another contract we pay for.
Right.
And
And some of this, when we're hiring, and I didn't put this down, maybe you should put it down as garbage removal in the park. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of
It
this
should go along with this.
Yeah, I agree, and that's some of this stuff will be taken care of.
If you're gonna have him do it, he should be in here because he can't.
Right, it is.
You can't add it later.
Yeah, right.
And, you
Expect
know,
him to do
if
it.
you furnish a pickup, then that's a no-brainer.
Well, see, that's, that, again, it comes down to that, and what you're saying, Larry, so right at the moment, picking rubbish up at is not an issue. So, yeah. And I think this job will grow. Once we figure out what's there for the time, when people got time to do it.
When is, it's Roger Vesper, right? Who
Yes.
does our garbage? When does that bid come up?
It's not a bit.
Okay, how does that work?
Is it a contract or is it like
It's on call.
on call?
Handshake.
It's a handshake agreement. It's what it was.
So it can be undone at
Any point.
any point.
Any point. I call about the rubbish constantly.
Yeah, but my understanding is that, Roger picks up my garbage.
Mhm.
So my understanding is that when the snow comes, he told you that he couldn't pick up the garbage.
Correct.
All right, so if he did that, then you should know that somebody else has gotta pick it up.
Ooh,
I think our town crew could do it.
okay, you get them to do it.
Well, I think you have people working for the town in the winter, they're not awful busy. You know, there's no reason why somebody couldn't take a truck down there and empty that garbage, it looked like hell.
It's not my job. It's just whether you wanna specify.
Well, if it needs somebody to tell somebody to do it, I will do it. I don't have a problem with that. When you have people that are employed and they have responsibility to take care of what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
Then I don't have a problem with telling them, if you're not doing your job, we'll get somebody
it's
else
not
to
their
do it.
responsibility at the moment, so.
Well, it's not, but if the selectmen decided that that's what they wanted.
It's up to you to decide,
And now it's up to-
if we hire this position here, it will be taken care of. When we hire this person here, that will be taken care of.
That's okay with me.
So we should put that on there, that
It is,
garbage.
I got it written in there.
Is this also the person that's gonna do the odd jobs like painting and?
Yeah, it says, maintenance and stuff like that, yeah.
Maintenance?
The front steps on the Academy building,
Josh, Karen, well, that needs to be fixed, that's,
we've had two public meetings there and it's still the same.
Yeah.
Not been fixed. Who's responsible for that? Are we responsible for that?
it is, and Josh Karen was supposed to be getting material because he broke it. And he just said that I put a call in for him today to get the material, so.
But I mean, that's the kind of thing all around this town is everything gets put off and then it maybe gets done or maybe it doesn't. You know, I don't like that.
I think that's what we're trying, I think that's what this position might address, and we have an opportunity to really dial it in. And so then, are you saying you would be the manager, the buildings and grounds manager?
Yeah. And part of that may go away with the new administrator that comes in. I have no qualms of giving up some jobs that are there.
That's why I think we were gonna discuss that with you the last time when we talked about the administrator stuff.
Right, and I think that,
Do you not want it, would you rather it be?
being honest to you, right at this moment in time, my focus is the reappraisal.
Right.
And that's my focus right now.
Yeah,
And, I have been a little bit slack on the building account. I would fully admit that.
right, because it's hard to juggle two
It's
things
tough.
at once, simultaneously, yeah, you have to sort of shift your
Yeah.
focus.
So things don't get done. So what I'd say, Walter, is you tell the board that that you're focusing on the appraisal and you need someone to take care of it.
For instance, the water fountain. We can bring that up. It's not like it needs to be dug up, but you can't get in there with a town backhoe. It's too big. You have to get in there with a small backhoe. You know, it's not like, it's one of those things that you, oh, it would be really easy fix, but it isn't. The's no space to put a backhoe.
So you get a small backhoe.
We do, and it, to me, it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal, they making it a big deal more than it is. So,
Well, it doesn't work. Obviously, they're upset about that, and they like to,
yeah,
they like to have water for their kids.
yeah,
You know, so we ought to fix it, but get a small backhoe and fix it.
we will, it's just,
What are you, how many hours for buildings and grounds are you?
me,
Yeah,
40 a month,
40 a month.
I do about 20.
So we have that in the budget, right? So I just wanted to remind all you guys that that's in the budget for these two positions potentially, that if Walter doesn't, you know, want to.
And the other position's 40 hours a week.
This new position,
It's 40 hours a week.
right?
And what are we looking at for pay for this?
I don't know.
I think when we developed the
We
budget.
did have a
we were
number in there.
Somewhere around 25, 23.
I think so.
23, I think it's 23.
Somewhere in the $20-ish an hour range, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you really want some more time to review your job description, so
Yep.
perhaps we should schedule.
Sounds like you're a pretty talented person to do all this stuff and different stuff. Does the person that we have in mind,
Bye, Brad.
does have all these talents?
We haven't listed it.
We haven't listed it right now.
You don't have somebody in mind?
There's somebody, Cameron, yes, he's doing a lot of the work, he's doing a lot.
Okay, so is he talented enough to do
Yeah,
what?
he is, most of it,
He's a carpenter?
yeah, well, some, yeah, like all the rest of us. It's not, you know, he could fix the steps.
Well, I think they ought to be fixed. You know, they've been there now for, I don't know, 2 months, I don't know,
I
longer
agree
than
with Bob,
that.
I agree.
So who's gonna fix the steps now?
Once we get the material, I just call Jason again for him to get the material. I will, I have the material if he does.
Wait,
He broke the steps,
Jason Karen?
yes,
How could that be? There's no even grass over there.
They got hit with a plow.
it's no problem.
Oh, he plows over there. See, that's confusing to me why we have all these different Jason Karen plows over there. Okay.
So why wouldn't we just fix it, and send Jason the bill? That's what
I was trying to be a nice guy, Bob.
Cut his losses as much as possible, but looks like it's not working.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. I mean,
Yeah, it is, so just, you know, Bob, it doesn't work, so we're working on it, yeah, you just call Jason again and told him that's what I would basically do, so.
I mean, if something got beat up on the fairgrounds, I'd fix it, and I'd send a bill to the people who did it.
Yeah.
But it would get done. Well, they also understand, Walter, you got a lot going on with your reappraisal. Now,
All right, so we'll come back to this, next meeting.
yeah, that's good.
Okay. Any other, maintenance needs or updates, Walter?
Not off the top of my head.
Perfect.
It's just, I just want to keep people understanding, this building is 10 years old, and part of what, I don't know, this will need maintenance and rebuilding needs maintenance on it, so, you know, it's getting 10 years is the limit on stuff needs to be done. Also too, I just want to point out the person that does this needs a background check, which I've said in there because this part of it will be cleaning and janitorial work for this building.
Yeah.
We're getting rid of that person that here. They'll have to have a background check to get past the police department.
Okay. Is that in there?
This is in there.
Okay.
I haven't finalized that with Loretta yet, but she's not in this week
Right, she's training.
in training.
Okay, revolving loan fund committee.
I mean, I just wanna, you know, the buildings and grounds and these things that need to happen. I wanna,
sometimes I feel like at a meeting, we bring it up and we're all up in arms and then we don't ever like follow back up. And
The
And close the
granite benches,
loop.
the granite benches are a bigger deal than what everybody's saying, because they do need reinforcement.
Yeah.
And I tried to get an estimate for a contractor to do, granite concrete underneath, and nobody was available.
yeah,
So, that's.
everybody's
Everybody's busy, it's hard to do that. So some of this, like those benches will be taken care of behind the building, the ground scout. That's some of that stuff will be taken care of.
The fencing around the,
Yeah, it's, to me, it's a bigger deal to them than it is. So we'll fix it, though, yeah.
you're right, so will Cameron, do you think you'll maybe look for a carpenter to do that fencing, that fence
Or,
project, or Cameron will do it?
We'll find somebody to do it soon, yes.
Okay, yes. And the electrical box.
Yeah. That's on my list, I'll call the electrician tomorrow.
And the water, what are we gonna do about that?
I'll get Cameron after that too, so.
I thought you said Cameron can't do the
Just
water.
call Jerry Swayze and you'll fix it.
I already talked to Jerry about it,
Yeah,
and he said you need a backup.
so. do that.
I said, Bob, if you listen to what I said, I will get it fixed.
Revolving loan fund committee. Appointments, at the last meeting. The committee had potentially talked about Bushrod coming back, but he was in Italy, I believe, and we couldn't contact him, but now that he's back. He has indicated he is not, he's willing to step aside. He's trying to.
Retire?
Yeah, he's trying to disengage. He's earned it. But Rita did reach out to Jerry Barstow, and he has indicated he has interest in. So my recommendation would be that we appoint Jerry Barstow.
Is there 3 of you or 4 of you?
There are four of us. There's Rita and Sandy Conrad, myself and Judy Hayward. So there would be 5
With Jerry.
with Jerry.
I make a motion to appoint Jerry Barcelona.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jerry's on revolving loan committee. Do you have the request for CD from Rita or not?
I didn't get a specific dollar amount, just that there was a request to move some surplus funds into a certificate of deposit account so that the money could accrue additional interest while it's not being used. We've done this before. With the revolving loan fund, you just slide it over into a separate bank account for a little while.
How much money's in that right now?
I don't know off the top of my head.
County Court.
Yeah, except that we have
It's
loaned
not
out,
much.
we have loan.
It's around 100,000.
I think it's like 90.
It's not in there.
The number was mentioned recently. My recollection is it's like, right now we're at about 90,000 available funds. So we've approved this without numbers before.
Typically a specific balance that they want to move,
Yeah.
but also I'm not sure what might be requested. So you might want to wait a couple weeks and. see
Well, I
how that
was
shakes out.
thinking since this other thing has come up, then.
Right.
Then maybe we'll have a meeting and I'll have Rita, ask for a specific amount, because I feel like there should be a specific amount,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just for clarity.
And Patrick, when you go into that meeting. For the tellers, I would like to, express my hope that you folks will be able to make that happen.
Okay.
For him, if you would just relay that I personally. Would like to see.
Well, if if you would like to make a motion, we could express specific support to the committee.
I would like to make a motion then, I guess, that if the board is in agreement, that we, as the select board, encourage the approval of a loan for the Tuller property.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion? All those in favor of recommending a loan to Tuller on the sewer project, say aye.
Aye.
Bingo. Town admin transition needs.
Yes, so the federal government maintains a couple of websites that I am currently the administrator on. And am also the only current town employee marked as an administrator. The easiest thing to do is for me to grant authority to someone else to also be an administrator before I leave. So I'm looking for at least one select board member or two who is willing to walk through that process.
Isn't this something we should have two
Yes.
people
Yes,
anyway?
absolutely.
Yeah. It always seems dangerous to have one person.
It is, it requires a lot of paperwork when you only have one person and then they leave.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
I suppose at this time, I would be willing to take that on. And we'll see in the future whether I can get out from under that.
Well, and once you've hired
That will
someone
be the
else
primary.
or someone else's, you could add them to the system because you would have access to. do
Right,
them.
and then I could be the backup or
Right.
somebody else could be the
Are
backup.
there any specific requirements for that role?
You need to create a login.gov account, which does require that you utilize your own personal identification to be linked to that login.gov account.
Right, and is that something that's, something you have?
I don't,
Anyone can make a login.gov account.
why, do you have
It just
one?
requires
I do,
like
yeah.
uploading your ID and all of that stuff.
But I think it's really easy to get, although
Yeah.
there are some
It takes a little time.
hoops that you have to jump through at certain points, like,
well, certainly in the interim, it probably wouldn't hurt if two of us were so enabled and then,
Cause there might be multiple things that you each could take on. Maybe, I
Well,
don't know.
I mean, it's not like there's a limit, right? So if we hire somebody else and
Correct.
they
Yeah.
become, then I mean, that's the person that we hope will be doing all the work anyway.
Yeah.
right.
And then we would just remain as backups and then,
Right.
Well, I think you should, move ahead.
Yeah.
With,
yeah.
you know, stay in that role.
And you're also volunteering to do it, Stuart?
I will volunteer if I need to.
That's a tepid
Yeah.
endorsement.
Well,
Yes,
I can see a situation where you say, you know, they're not gonna grant you the ID before she leaves.
oh,
And, cause that's a pretty short amount of time,
it is.
so.
So that's why I'm suggesting maybe, we both assume that for now, because you can get in
Yeah,
right now,
okay.
and then I can also get in, and then.
Do you
we're
have a
covered.
login.gov existing?
That makes sense. And then Patrick can work on getting one too.
Okay. I didn't have one.
What?
Why would you have one?
If you deal with social security or
Oh, I do have one.
It
I've
it
created one.
interfaces with pretty much every.
Yes, I
federal
had
site.
to, I did create one.
real ID and login.gov. There's
Got it.
two that they would,
That's me.
you have one or the other.
I do have it, now that you mention that.
Okay, great. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
It wasn't so hard.
No, once we actually figured out what
What it was.
what it was.
Will you remember your password and your username and all of that? I would never.
I've had this, all of that. Okay, all right, FEMA grant administrator.
Same thing, another lovely
portal.
federal web portal that needs administrators, and I am currently the only one. That one does not require a login.gov, it requires a separate FEMA grant account. And I will happily send an invite to anyone's select board email address who would like to be the person who can then add other people.
I would like to, but I will assume that also.
Okay.
I think it just makes sense for now.
The next one's much easier. FY 26 grant and aid letter of intent. The grants and aid is the money that we receive from V-Trans annually to do ditching and culverts on hydraulically connected segments. The letter just signals to V-Trans your intent to participate. You can always withdraw later if you so choose.
Sounds like a great idea. And you will send the letter.
And I will send the letter.
You would like a motion?
Yes, the board should make a motion to send the letter of intent.
I would like to make a motion that we send the letter of intent for V-Trans ditching and culvert grant aid.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Does, Larry, you gonna have input into that?
Grant and aid on this one here,
Yeah.
the ditching and stuff.
Most of the time, Two Rivers helps us to select the hydraulically connected segments that should be done next. So as part of your municipal roads general permit, you agree to comply with the stormwater regulations of the state of Vermont. And so as part of that, they do an assessment of the roads for the hydraulically connected segments to see if they comply or do not comply with the stormwater rules. So there is actually a website with the roads with all of the segments and how far away they are for compliance. So we typically pick the ones that are farthest from compliance to do that work.
To update, yeah.
I think Larry should have input into that.
But this is just for the letter that, definitely, but we're just talking about the letter of intent to get that money.
Yeah. But the letter has to be specific.
The letter does not. The letter is just your intent to participate. When you get ready to
Oh,
actually.
you're not describing any of the.
No,
Correct.
this
There's a
just
separate
says, yeah, we
document
want to
that describes
participate,
the
we want the money.
Okay.
Yeah, that's. Okay, so all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. And this is one of the ones I need to sign.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I am the duly authorized representative.
You are.
$100 again. Okey-doke. Other?
I left that on there for you guys in case you had
Oh.
questions or other things you thought of.
I just wanted, this is probably a good place to talk about the two things that I'm interested in. I think we should have a meeting with Loretta and the officers that work for her, just like we did with the town group.
Okay.
And I'm at the meeting on Saturday. There was a lot of discussion from people that didn't get any response when they called Loretta, and I really wanna know why. So, and I think she's the only one that can answer that.
Right.
So I'd
Well,
like
I
to
think-
get them
I think-
all together and I.
And what you want to know is if that's true, and then if true, why?
Yes, right, and if it is true, why?
And I don't understand, you're talking about, the roller skating in the park. Why are the officers covering that?
They probably would if we asked them. But, and we can still do that.
It's not a town event. It's a private party. So they would have to hire the police.
It's private.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
it's-
they represented.
It's a public event.
It's a public event.
The
We could have-
officers generally do patrol South Royalton Village while the event is going on, but they don't necessarily stand on the green for the duration of the event, the same way that they don't stand on the green for the duration of any event.
But it's not-
With the exception of maybe Old Home Days.
It's
when
not
they're
the
there.
town putting it on. Like
It's true.
Old Home Days,
No,
it's the
well-
town's event. but
Well,
roller
Old Home Days
skating
is not the
Nando's.
town's event either. That's a separate 501c3. that hosts their event on the town green. And like, there are many public
But-
events on the town green that are not the town's events.
And the police are hired by the town. I would think they would just cover the town during those events. And I guess they gotta ask some questions.
If Loretta were here tonight, I would have asked her, and I can guarantee you, she would have said, yes, we will be there. But she didn't happen to be here tonight, so I couldn't ask her. There's no reason that we can't ask them, and I can almost guarantee there's no reason they wouldn't go and
But
cover this event.
why, I guess, I've got something wrong here. The police work for the town. And they cover the town for all events. That's the way I look at it. I guess those are questions I'm gonna ask Loretta when she gets in here. And I don't really wanna get into it right now. I just heard enough on Saturday. So I just really wonder what the heck was going on.
She does usually. Like you said, like if.
Loretta has never turned us
she would
down.
show- She would show up.
And we did ask the constable to do it in the past.
Yeah, but I'm guessing,
They said no problem.
why wouldn't you just expect that she would be there covering, or there would be an officer there covering?
Because
I don't
it's
understand.
typically not necessary. There are lots of public events on the green. All summer long, there's all sorts of public events on the green. We do not ask an officer to be there for the entire time because it's just not generally necessary for them to be there for the duration of the event.
I mean, town band is on the green every week, and we don't ask the police to be
I
there
wouldn't
every time.
expect you to, but I wouldn't expect
Well, then,
that you'd ask Loretta anyway. I think she would just cover the town.
And she does, but I mean, she does a lot of going around, I think, like during.
Well, it's a discussion I'd like to have when she's
Yeah.
sitting right here, so.
okay,
I think it's a great idea to have like the meetings, like once a year, when we get a new board, we should have an automatic agenda. We got rec department coming in, we got buildings and ground coming in, we got, for a month, for a few
Sure.
months straight, we have
Called the governance calendar.
oh, there you
Called the
go.
governance calendar.
What do you know? It's already a thing.
So what you do is you put in your meetings and certain things, what you wanna cover.
Yes.
And
Oh,
it's-
awesome.
It's a governance calendar.
There you go. That's what I want. Thank you, Walter.
All you have to do is come up with one and start it, and it's a
Okay.
moving document,
Yeah, that's awesome.
governance calendars.
And I'd like to put the sidewalk, restoration on the next budget, on the next, meeting. Okay,
okay.
Which sidewalk are you talking about?
The,
the 1.7 million,
Chelsea Street project?
yeah, is that what you call it?
as far as back to, I think we jumped ahead because the D and other under. town
Yeah, it was a
administration
different other,
needs.
yeah.
Victoria, I mean, so the other would be looking at, what are we gonna do about these, resumes that have come in? Do we want to, I mean, we, like, as
Well,
of
it's up to
now,
us.
We should
Yeah.
have another meeting. We're supposed to have one once a week.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna talk about.
That's
today.
what we need to do
Tonight.
once a week.
So it's already Tuesday, when are
I
we
thought we
gonna
were
meet?
just adding,
To this one?
Tuesday.
Well, we don't have
Tuesdays,
time to
yeah.
do it tonight unless you want to, but.
no, what I thought we were adding an extra meeting on our off weeks, not
I
a
think.
meeting every week.
Oh, I heard that we were gonna deal with
Yeah.
it once a week until we were satisfied.
I mean, we should look at these
Okay.
resumes, don't you think?
Yeah, I've been looking at them, yeah,
I mean, or we should,
should talk
I mean,
about
we
Yeah.
should talk about,
we should, absolutely.
wanna talk, but you don't wanna talk now. I don't know.
Okay. Talk about it now.
There's a potential, we could interview someone and we could have them at least meet Victoria if we,
Mhm.
if we act. If we really go quickly here. So I think that. I mean, did anybody look at those resumes and anybody jump out? Anybody wanna?
Yeah, I looked at them.
You're gonna
But-
just discuss with specifics, you should do so in
Oh,
executive
right,
session.
Right, yeah.
that's executive, is that what that is for? This executive session coming up?
In case you needed it, I left it on there.
Okay, great, okay.
It was
So,
not
That's,
designated.
I
for
couldn't, I didn't know if it was regarding something else.
I left it there in case you needed
Okay,
it.
good girl, good girl.
Well, we could probably talk about it in
Hi, guys.
generalities.
See ya.
Bye, Walter.
Generalities for
Okay.
sure. And we can talk about it in generalities. I didn't get, my computer, I couldn't get it to copy off, so I read some of them, but for
Yeah.
sure, but I don't have a copy in
Yeah,
front of me to
yeah.
really evaluate it. We can
Yeah.
just,
I
you know,
can't- I'm
mention a
not-
few words.
I mean, I looked at them, I'm not,
Are we going into executive session or?
I don't know, well,
Or do you
we're
want to finish the
deciding whether
agenda?
we, I think we're deciding whether we need to.
Okay,
So why don't we just get through the warrants and approve them with minutes, and then we can focus on this last item.
okay, for the warrants, there's one item on here which I have a question about, have to ask Rita. It's looks like it's circled, it's got a positive rather than a negative, and I don't know what's going on with that.
Reimbursement or something?
Yep, so that's a reversal of an employee who's no longer with us, so we got a refund of their insurance because insurance is prepaid.
But that's not where. It's on the bill.
Not deducted.
But actually on the bill, on the invoice is the deduction.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for closely looking at them, Stuart.
Yeah,
I didn't look at them yet. I haven't looked at them.
Just in general or ever?
Yeah, he looks fine, he's fine now.
All right, warrants are good.
All right,
Got a motion, Stuart?
Yeah, I moved that the warrants be approved.
Stuart said so.
I'll second it.
any discussion? All those in favor of approving the warrants, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Warrants are approved. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes is. Posted.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Do you have specific thoughts now from the resumes? That might be appropriate for executive session?
Well,
I mean,
I think we
alternatively,
should go into the executive session.
okay,
And I have 2 minutes,
sure,
minute and a half,
yes,
just quick.
Yes.
Demi called me today and he's taking up the road posted signs next week.
Okay.
He's been around the roads. He feels they're safe enough to have trucks on them. And
she's
yeah,
back to work.
apparently enough to do that.
Okay.
Apparently, and he called me, I don't know, no time or so. And then the other question I have is, and I think I asked that to Victoria about the Act 250 renewal permit. Have we heard anything from that at all? You have said not.
I have not
We have
received an
not heard
update on that.
From
recently.
anything from the,
No,
okay, I
and
guess,
actually, we had discussed that earlier today too, and I meant to email John to follow up with John Harrington for
okay,
an
that's
update.
the only two things I wanted to ask.
The reason why I asked about, the hours, if they've changed. Is because, people have talked to me about some of the road crew, being, not at the garage, but working at, in the afternoons at another place. And if, I don't know what's going on, if we're paying them or we're not paying them, or.
I mean, the road crew does generally work from like 6 or 6:30 in the morning until 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon, so. It's not,
Well, do we know that they are? That's all I asked, Victoria.
Well, do you have specifics? Because I found that people.
Maybe
won't
we
tell
should
you-
have executive session.
They won't tell you things because they're afraid of getting in trouble or getting somebody in trouble. So you're working with only half the information.
I mean, do they have a
No,
time
just
clock where they
asking the
punch in
question,
and
yeah,
punch
I
out?
agree.
No, they don't.
They don't, so that's
agree.
something that maybe should happen,
they
but,
keep time sheets.
yeah, but that's, you write it in, so the hand could
Yeah.
write most anything.
Well, I'm just curious because it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't pan out if you ask.
Well, I think that, if someone's gonna take time off. You should fill out a sheet and, turn it in so you know. Shouldn't just take time off. And I think just filling out a paper and saying, I'm gonna take a half a day on Tuesday, a sick day or a personal day or whatever, and turn it in 24 hours ahead of time. And everybody knows.
But who, like Demi is their boss, immediate boss, if they did that to him. But then does he required
Demi
to
would
bring it,
just turn it
to
in
bring
then.
it to Victoria?
Sure.
Yes, so the road crew, every road crew member completes a timesheet every day. Demi approves all of the timesheets and all of the timesheets are submitted bi-weekly to the office for the processing of payroll.
And it includes,
And it
Time taken.
includes time taken, yes.
And we don't have
So-
them this week, but
So
We
then
go
you
next
would know,
Put in
Victoria,
the warrants.
if somebody was out there at. Not working at 2 o'clock, but doing something
No, I
else.
do not know that because I am not responsible for the
Yeah.
supervision of town employees.
Should we
Yeah,
go
you
into
would know on their
executive session?
timesheet.
I do not, because I do not process payroll, Rita does.
and Rita said the payroll.
And then the
this
select board receives the payroll at the select board meetings and reviews it and signs it. So the select board should know when your employees are taking time off, because you have the responsibility of reviewing the payroll.
But this week, Rita said she didn't get payroll in, so it'll be in the next one. So
Oh,
you can't answer any questions about the last week.
yeah, I'm just interested.
If you would like to look at payroll, I'd be happy to go pull one for you so that you can look at
Could
it.
you? Actually, I would bet you, yeah. Pay stubs, I mean, payroll and those timesheets. They're not enough information. We're gonna lose,
okay,
so we're gonna lose Victoria, and we're not gonna have any information, and it's not gonna be.
I think when she comes back, we should go into executive
I
session
agree.
because. if we-
There's
if we-
JoJo.
we
Yeah, are
see
you
it.
just about to go into executive session? Should I leave?
Yes.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, Joe. Thank you. I take a motion to go in executive session,
I'll second the motion.
and I would like to invite Victoria to stay. All those in favor?
Aye.
For now.